All right, we're back in it. And we are now officially in conference tournament season. I think every regular season game in every conference is done at this point. So
Hmm.
all we have from here is officially postseason basketball.
Yes,
So
sir.
we are in the mix. And as you may notice, we have a new friend on the show. Uh,
Yes, sir.
Fresh off Marshall's heartbreaking loss yesterday, which I guess we will bring up at some point.
Hmm.
Christian Marshall alum is joining us. He's a good friend of ours, huge college basketball fan, and he wanted to come on here and do a show. And we are happy to always have new faces in the mix. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. But
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me. And this is one of the best times of the year because it's one of the times where like everyone else that doesn't really keep up with it a whole lot, like the rest of the nation's really going to be tuning in on college basketball for the next month or so. So it's definitely
there
a
was
good time to be.
there was a tweet yesterday. It said it's that time of year. Get ready for your buddy who's watched 2 college basketball
Yeah,
games all year to text you to watch out for UC San Diego.
exactly. Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're officially in it. It's that time. Can't freaking wait. I mean, yeah, we got plenty to talk about. The end of the regular season today. But first of all, how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good. Doing good. Had a
Not
great
bad.
recovering from
Got
Asheville.
extra daylight, pal.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Any politician who suggests that going forward has my vote forever.
Yeah, same here, Matthew. Same
I
here,
agree.
Matt.
That extra hour, like I ended up sleeping till like 2 o'clock today because I mean that extra hour just really did it to me. I woke up. I mean the Michigan game was already in the books by the time I woke
Oh,
up.
man.
I was like, oh my god!
I
Like,
felt great pressure yesterday giving you a lock, and I was like, all right, well, Christmas might be canceled for Travis if Michigan State doesn't win. But thankfully, it came through. But hey, got some good sleep, though.
I
at
forgot to
least.
pick it, like because
That's
I
crazy.
slept too fucking long. So then I
Yeah.
had to get another. So San Francisco was your other lock. I don't. Can I hold you to
Yeah.
the same fire for that
You
one?
can hold me to the same fire. We'll go down together if San Francisco somehow doesn't pull that one out. But I guess the better question is how are you doing after what was the state championship of Alabama? Jimmy Dykes said about 80 times on the broadcast. That might be a good place to start here.
Can you guys still hear me?
I
Yeah,
can hear
we
you
can.
just
We can
fine.
hear you.
Yeah.
Did you hear Matt's question? Can you hear us, Travis?
Oh, he can. He's just very nervous about how to proceed with this answer here, I think.
Hey, so my can you hear me, Jacob? I see you.
Yeah, you can.
My Wi-Fi just went out.
Oh, shit.
So that's great.
So
Did
anytime
that
we
knock everybody
mention
off? Or
no, anytime
We
we
didn't hear you.
mention Bama, your Wi-Fi just goes
Just
crazy.
cuts
It
out.
sounds, yeah.
yeah, I don't know where we were at, but yeah, I just like all of a sudden everybody's box went black, and like I got the notification that my Wi-Fi went out. So that's great.
Yeah, I had asked you how you are doing after Bama took home the state championship, in the words of Jimmy Dykes.
I was not doing good yesterday, but I'm still not happy. But I mean, at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, like obviously losing to Bama sucks, but I mean, we woke up yesterday the number 1 overall seed and SEC regular season champions, and we woke up again today the number 1 overall seed and SEC regular season champions. So, yeah, not the definitely not ideal, but also not the worst thing to ever happen. But yeah, I
Sure.
guess that's definitely the first game we need to talk about. And like I told you guys before we came on here, one of you guys can frame that game before we talk about it if you want, because I will not be able to do it from an unbiased perspective. So whichever one of you wants to do the honors of kind of framing however we discuss that game, you got it.
I mean, Auburn, Alabama. This second one, it was definitely one of the games of the year. I think both times they played this year have been electric matchups.
Absolutely.
we saw that again yesterday. Just back and forth the whole way, right down to the end of regulation, and of course it was tied and went to overtime. It was the same thing in overtime. Went down to the final minute or final seconds. Mark Sears had an insane shot to win that game. What a performance by him, Grant Nelson.
Well, he had
Mark
9 points, but
yeah, Mark Sears didn't have a great game, just a clutch shot. But Grant Nelson had 23 for Alabama. Janai Broom pretty much carried the
What
load
more does he have to
offensively
do? Yeah.
for Auburn. Him into Hod Pettiford. Just one of those games. It was a rough loss. It's kind of like at this point in the season, you win some of those and you lose some of those, especially a rivalry game. I've gone through it with Purdue and IU, been both, or as a Purdue fan with Purdue versus IU, kind of being on both ends of the spectrum. I mean, I'm sure Travis feels the same way.
yeah, I mean, it's like you always want to win those games. It sucks, but yeah, like Matt was mentioning the framing by ESPN of like this is the state championship game, as if like Auburn doesn't already own a win in Coleman, and like, but well, this one's the one because this is the one that Alabama might win, so this one's the state championship game.
Yeah, and I feel like while it was a tough loss for the Tigers, I feel like they're still either way, even if they lose a game in the conference tournament, they're still, in my opinion, the number one team. Broom is still the number one player of the year, in my opinion. And while it is tough in the way to finish out the regular season, I think it could even be beneficial for them moving forward. The fact that they got a couple losses out of the way kind of later, I think it could shape for a really good postseason for them. So either way, they're still, in my eyes, the best team in the country, even despite the loss. But that's not how you want to finish it off against a hated rival there. But
no, it is not.
Nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to cloud the. I know the Auburn fans are pissed. Every one of them I know is like, you know, just it had to be them, of course, to beat them. But I will say, all things considered, I don't know how much the like we already won the regular season, so we don't really care factor comes in. Like, I don't really buy in to that, just because
I bought into that for the A&M game, but not yesterday. Like,
I mean, A&M A&M took it to them, and they straight up played it harder than they did, and A&M killed them. A&M destroys everyone on the glass, but they particularly really, you know, took it to Auburn that day. But yeah, for Bama, that was, I mean, they made some really good adjustments offensively going into that game. The game at Auburn, Auburn did a really good job running them off 3-point line, but Bama's looks were, you know, Oates' big thing is like threes and layups, and, you know, Auburn did a good job of denying both when they went to Bama and beat them. This time, the Bama guards were really good. I know Sears only had 9 points on the game, but Phylon was really good. Every time they got, like, their guards got into the lane, they got into the paint every time. And it moved Janai away from the basket every time. It moved Cardwell away from the basket every time. So, you know, Big Cliff and Grant Nelson really had easy looks in that game. And they got a lot more higher percentage shots. And the set that they drew up for Sears at the very end, that was awesome. That was really well done. Denver Jones really fumbled that one. That was a lot of good execution from Bama, but that was not a lot of good execution on the defensive end from Auburn, and kind of just let Sears right by him. But all things considered, I think it, you know, doesn't affect Auburn horribly. I do think the top overall seed does become a debate now. I think people will allow it to become a debate because if Duke just throttles everyone in ACC tournament play, has a head-to-head over them, there will be an outcry for especially if Auburn does not win the SEC tournament. If it is Florida, because Florida's probably playing maybe the best basketball in the country right now, that's going to be that will be a debate probably. So Yeah, all things considered for Auburn, nothing like existential at play here. I do think that there is something that has got to be done, and we just might as well address it now. The Chad Baker Mazzara nonsense that took place
Oh
in
my
that
God,
game.
he killed a guy! It was the worst thing I've ever,
Yeah.
dude.
So
Yeah, okay.
I know we're on opposite sides of some of it. I just don't think you can get yourself kicked out of the game at that point. I don't think you can afford to do that.
Okay,
10 minutes
but
to
was
go
the
in a
Chris
big game.
Youngblood? He intentionally stepped on him. Like he stopped and changed directions and walked and stepped like right over Chad and like stepped on him on purpose. So like, and they went and reviewed it and didn't call anything on that. And
Yeah,
Chad was
they
fucking
didn't
pissed.
call anything.
And,
Yeah. Now, granted, he still cannot be getting kicked out of games. He can't be leading the nation in flagrant fouls and be like getting kicked out of that kind of game. So,
well, the
maybe
leading the nation in flagrant fouls is just because of who he is, and like if he breathes on somebody wrong, it's a flagrant.
Well, yeah, he's kind of built up that Draymond Green reputation now, and it's now it's happened on a pretty big stage twice with Yale last year, and now Bama this year. And I do believe Bama went into that game trying to expose that pretty badly. I think they tried to goad him into something, particularly Youngblood, and yeah, that it ended up working. So, maybe for Auburn, it's good news that it happened now and not in an NCAA tournament game.
Right.
But
if they call an F1 on or an F2 on Youngblood for literally stepping on the guy like they should have, that probably gives things a minute to cool down. Chad probably feels like, okay, like they got him for that, but it was the fact that he got stepped on and Youngblood got completely like exonerated from that by the officials and so he went back down and elbowed him in the fucking head because the guy stepped on him.
Sure.
Like,
now
that's a mistake. Can you blame the guy?
Well, yes, you can. I mean, it's still like, you can't get yourself kicked out of the game. I'm not saying what he did was like Ron Artest elbowing James Harden years ago, but like, by the letter of the law, that constitutes a flagrant too. It's not like egregious, but it's one of those things like it's very frustrating. There's no way Johni Broome does that. There's no way like Todd Pettiford does that. He's the only one on that roster who would ever muster that up to do something like that. And that's why it's kind of frustrating. Like, okay, so if that happened to Johni and they were trying to get under Johni, there's no way Johni would be like, I'm going to go ahead and, get myself kicked out of this game. It's just like, it's a stupid play. It does not really make sense. You have nothing to gain. But I understand that's like who he is, and that's kind of the role he plays for their team. It's one of those things, like, it's just him. That's just Chad being Chad, I guess you could say. But that time it cost him. So, I think there's a middle ground that he can reach where he's still playing that role without getting kicked out of the game.
Well, he's been doing that most of the year. This is the first time he's gotten kicked out of a game this year.
Yes. So I think he just needs to kind of get back to that. But, yeah, it was an emotional game. And, yeah, Bama knew exactly what they were doing with him. So,
yeah, I guess if you step on a guy, that's a good way to get under their skin.
Well, in his eye, in their eyes, they didn't get – I'm not, again, saying anything that they did was correct or right. But, sadly for Auburn, only one guy got kicked out of the game for that. And, yeah, it was a mess. Probably not the best.
I think it's just the contact of the head and neck area. I think that just – that's how the game is officiated nowadays.
Well, and of course you have to remember the Bama fans are still upset because like he raked Youngblood in the face earlier in the game and got him the Band-Aid over the eye, and they were freaking out about that. So Oates was already kind of chiding the refs before that happened because of that. So it was all set up.
I know I'm getting hung up on but like it was pretty obvious if you like, and everybody like. It's not getting a lot of attention outside of Auburn circles to play where Youngblood stepped on him. But, like, if you watch the replay, they got the rebound and Youngblood, like Chad was on the ground and Youngblood stopped and intentionally, changed directions to go right over Chad and, stepped on. his actions leading up to stepping on him made it seem like that was pretty intentional, to the point where the refs even reviewed it and didn't call anything there. So I think, yes, should Chad have done what he did? No, 100%. But when you're the refs and you let it get out of control to that point where Chad responds that way because you let the guy get stepped on purpose and didn't do anything about it, it led up to that. And I think that was inexcusable by the officials to not do anything about a guy getting stepped on.
Hmm.
And that's, I guess, I don't know. I think if when you're running down the court and you stop to change directions and happen to step on a guy because you decided to run the direction where you walk right over the guy, it's pretty clear that was an intentional move.
Yeah. Either way, honestly, I think most college basketball fans can agree that this would be a wonderful three-peat, a third matchup to see somewhere in the SEC tournament. I don't know about you all, but I feel like I would love to see this.
I do too.
Again. I would love to see this matchup again.
I want them. I want them next week.
Absolutely.
Next Sunday.
Absolutely.
Give them to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see the adjustments Auburn made, because I think that this time around, I think Oates got the better of him this time. I think the game before, the Auburn staff game plan better than Bama. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see the adjustments that Auburn made if they played again.
And Auburn had the same kind of game plan as the last game to prevent them from contested threes. But like you said, they were driving everything.
They got in the lane anytime they wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, and when Cardwell and Broom collapse and try to either contest a shot or defend the guard that's driving it, that kind of leaves the lane open. So they would just throw stuff up, and the glass was wide open, and Bama was able to take advantage of that on the glass. Like you said with Grant Nelson, he had his best game of the season probably.
Right.
He had a crane kick as well. Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Which also wasn't a technical.
Yeah.
They did not tee him up for that, no.
Hey, Matt, to kind of pivot off of what you were saying a little earlier about teams that win a regular season tournament or regular season title for their conference. St. John's is one of those teams that I kind of thought they would almost let the gas off the brakes a little bit coming down to the end. But
not
that
them.
game, that game against Marquette, they were still treating it like a national championship. They were going all out in that game. And I don't know if you all saw it at all, but it started early, especially for Wisconsin time, and all the Marquette fans were just on their feet for the whole 40 minutes of the game. But St. John's was still super chippy the whole time and ended up pulling that one out. Late.
And I don't think that loss for Auburn was necessarily a game where I think the Texas A&M game was definitely a letdown coming off of the SEC champion. I don't think that's what happened yesterday. I'm not going to make that excuse and be no, we played our asses off. Auburn played a great game yesterday for most of the game, especially Broom. That was not. I don't think that was the situation for Auburn at all, where they were just letting the go because they already clinched they wanted to win that game.
No doubt. Yeah, they would have been. I mean, it was their best season in school history, and sweeping Bama would have. That is almost as important to them as winning the regular season title. So,
it puts a damper on it. It does for sure. It puts a damper on it to end with a loss to Bama.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not something
on their senior day. That's not what they're looking for.
I know I'm being a biased Auburn fan here, but I mean I'm going to do it anyway. Nate Oates after the game taunting the crowd, that dude is an absolute fucking clown. I mean, is there take me being an Auburn fan away. It's we say the same shit about Dan Hurley, and Dan Hurley gets railed for it when he's yelling at fans and taunting crowds and stuff. And Dan Hurley's a two-time national champion. Nate Oates is not. But is there any situation with a coach taunting a crowd like that where it's cool? And Alabama's obviously a program we've seen with the whole Brandon Miller situation a couple years ago that has discipline issues. And when that's the adult in the room and he's doing stuff like going up to students and taunting a crowd after a game with his
Yeah.
players, is it acceptable for a college coach who's supposed to be a mentor, who's supposed to be like the adult in the room, to be doing something like that?
No, I don't
mean,
think it's acceptable, especially
I have
when
no
it's
problem.
like
Yeah.
18
I have
years
no
old.
issue with him doing that in the least. I mean, he basically is a professional coach now. I mean, we can certainly do the like, oh, he's supposed to be a mentor thing and everything else. Like, it is like a big character in the sport, and I think if he's covered the same way Dan Hurley's covered about when he does it, I wouldn't have a problem with it. That's the issue I have with it, because I think there's kind of a bit of like, oh, he's such a great story. He was a math teacher, and now look at him. And he, I think there's the media kind of glommed onto like, look at the like huge money grab we have with Alabama football. If we can apply this to basketball also. So I do think there's part of it that Oates kind of skirts around that line with that kind of stuff. But I have no problem with him like going after the crowd. Like, he probably heard who knows what from the crowd all game, and I have no problem with him giving it back to them. If it's one of those things like, if you don't dish it out if you can't take it, and if he can take it, I have no problem with him dishing it out or anything else. I mean, he is a huge public figure in the sport, but I do think he should be covered in the same way that like Dan Hurley's covered for doing it. But yeah, he certainly seems to get by on, just kind of under the radar. But I have no problem with him going at the crowd. I actually think it's good for the sport, and I have no issue with it.
In a hostile road environment like that, you just got to get out of there. Obviously, I'm not a fan of coaches taunting. It's just shouldn't be a part of the game unless someone says something over the line, like something like about his family or something. If someone says that, I'm perfectly fine with them talking back. But if you're just doing that every game, every place you go, kind of like Dan Hurley, I mean, it don't make sense. Which I don't know if Nate Oates is in that category yet or not, but
well, the thing is with Dan Hurley, he owns it, and it's part of who he is, and he has no issue with that. But like Oates, I do think kind of tries to like be the good guy act kind of thing, and like, oh, I wouldn't do that type of thing, and then he does it himself. So that I would say is the like bigger issue I would have with it. But I have no problem with like him going at the fans after the game. I have no issue with that at all. He's not going after like children. They're not 8 years old. They're drunk college fans and adults. And hey, I hope they gave him double birds right back to him and everything else. Like, I have no problem.
They threw towels at them that had
Yeah,
the SEC championship logo on it, and then everybody was tweeting, "What a classless fan base Auburn is," because they were throwing towels at them.
Yeah,
like they were like, "This is unacceptable," and like they were throwing fucking towels at them. And
I mean, there are no classy
Oates,
SEC fan bases. They don't exist. So
it shows. It shows the adult that Bruce Pearl is versus Nate Oates when Nate Oates is over like taunting the students, and Bruce Pearl got on the mic and was like, "Stop throwing shit right now! Like, we're not fucking doing this." Like, so
I mean, he's probably the only person in that building who could have gotten him to stop.
Well, yeah, and it's like, some other guys, if the opposing coach is over taunting their students and acting like that, might have just been like, "Fuck it, let them throw whatever they want." But Bruce Pearl is still like trying to have some class and like wants Auburn to look good, so he was like still telling students to stop as Nate Oates was, and the players were actively egging them on.
If people start throwing stuff, you got to tell them their season tickets are going to be removed if they get found out. I mean,
okay, they were towels. They were towels.
Is there like if you're? I'm just thinking about
Texas fans trying to get the call change. Yeah,
I'm thinking about Tennessee fans throwing the golf balls and mustard.
Golf balls and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it worked for Texas.
It
got
did.
the-
Yeah, you're
Got
right.
the call
You're right.
game.
You're not wrong.
The Browns at that one game against the Jaguars back in the day, or
Yeah,
like throwing glass bottles.
But
Yeah.
I could go on all day about this shit. But I hope next Sunday we're sitting here we have a bracket and we're talking about earlier in the day Auburn beat Alabama in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
That is all I hope next Sunday. I want them again so bad. And
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I think the whole country wants that matchup again. Like I said, I think the whole country's ready for it again somewhere in the SEC tournament. So hopefully we do get to see it. Hopefully we do.
Well, we mentioned, I guess we talk about one, we need to talk about the other huge rivalry game yesterday, and that was the Duke-Carolina game.
Oh, yeah.
And, so Duke was able to get a win on senior night in Chapel Hill. Duke, RJ Davis was playing out of his mind in this game. Like,
He was the only
everything.
reason the game was competitive. Yeah.
Yeah, he did everything he could to keep Carolina in that game. Carolina took the lead early in the second half. Like, it really did seem like that was going to be a game that Carolina could stay competitive in and see if RJ Davis could grab them or drag them to the finish line. And then there was the part where Cooper Flagg was in foul trouble too, and that was hurting Duke a lot. Which, by the way, like the National Player of the Year stuff, I know Duke won and Auburn lost, even though like you got to view it on the scale of who's playing who. But Janai Broome, I think, in the regular season yesterday had a lot better of a performance to go in the clubhouse on than Cooper Flagg did. So be that as it may.
On a personal level, it was, Janai was, it's the same thing that you described with RJ Davis. Janai was, without him, they lose by 15, 20 points yesterday. So.
But Janai was awesome. Cooper Flagg did not have his best game, and he was in foul trouble, and that was what led to Carolina being able to stay competitive in this game. And RJ Davis was just knocking down everything. But the problem is when Duke has 5, 6, 7 guys that can knock down shots, and North Carolina has one eventually that's going to catch up to you. And Duke was able to take control of this thing, and they were like, we're not giving up anything else. And Duke was able to get the win there. Probably puts Carolina's tournament hopes on life support at this point. They needed that one bad, and they were not able to get it. But yes, still a fun game nevertheless. Like, Carolina was competitive. Like, it was an entertaining watch, and but a big one for Duke. And now, I don't know if I wanted, but everybody's. Of course, yesterday Auburn lost to Alabama, one of the best 5 or 6 teams in the country, and Duke beats North Carolina. Team Alabama and Auburn both already beat, and now Duke is 100% the best team in the country, and Auburn. Did you see the Danny Cannell tweet?
I see he's
did
discovered
not.
college basketball now because the SEC is good, so now he's interested.
I did not see it.
He said, Duke is clearly the best team in the country. They beat their rival, unlike Auburn.
He really only started caring. He's like, the SEC's good. There's an SEC bias now. It's like, I better get on this. So,
the Duke is clearly the best team in the country became like the hot take after last night, which, for what it's worth, I think Florida's the best team in the country right now, even over Auburn. Like, I think Florida is playing the best basketball in the country. Like, I would take Florida over anybody right this second. That's I guess a preview of our conference tournament picks later. But Florida's playing out of their mind. Duke, they went into Chapel Hill. They were able to fend off a great effort by RJ Davis and get the win. So, what are our thoughts on that one?
It's kind of been the story of this year. UNC not having a great year. Duke having one of their best seasons in recent memory. Just kind of, this was expected. UNC's just kind of treading water under Hubert Davis. So.
Yeah, and I think Duke they definitely look like they're ready for some tournament play. And future Wizard Cooper Flagg looked had a pretty well-rounded performance out there. He had himself 15 points. Looks like he had 4 blocks. Pretty good for. Hopefully, he can keep up the same thing in DC.
There was a Spurs account that tweeted like, "Yeah, just this once, we need the lottery going our way to get Cooper Flag."
Bro, imagine the Spurs win the lottery.
Are you kidding?
I hope they do, by the way, because
Victor
Cooper Flag and Wemby together would be. I hope they do, because Cooper Flag and Wemby together would be.
That would be crazy. That would definitely.
There's a chance that Thunder could get him also. Yeah. It's just, some of these NBA teams have royally fucked up. But yesterday Carolina brought out all the stops. Bill was at the game. All the famous alumni were there. And they played. I mean, they really it was kind of sad to watch because I don't think Carolina could have possibly played better besides some other guys making some more shots. But Duke is incredibly deep, and they have premier blue chip talent at every position, and focus was off the charts. They were never rattled. They just weren't fazed by the environment or anything. And for them being that young of a team, that's really impressive. Now, I mean, there's nothing surprising about the outcome to me. And Duke shot really well yesterday. That was another factor for them that, when they're hitting shots like that, they're probably not going to get beat by anyone, just how, talented they are defensively. And I think, the conversation, people want to crown them as the best team. I won't really push back on that. I'm kind of with you that Florida right now is the best team. I think I wouldn't push back on anyone saying Duke is the best team. The only place I would push back is okay, so Florida has beaten some real teams in the last month or really in several weeks now. Duke has not beaten anyone. I don't think they've beaten a ranked team in a month.
And that's what I won't push back on saying Duke is the best team right now, but saying it's because they got this win over North Carolina.
Sure.
And, that's what shows clearly.
I would put, I'd be if you want to tell me they're the best team on paper and they've just crushed every team they've played on their schedule, I understand, if that's your logic. I just kind of am okay, well, look at who Florida has played and look at their best wins. Nobody else can compete with that. No one else has won at Bama, at Auburn, has beaten Tennessee by 30 points. Yesterday they had, just were a machine and against a much better team than North Carolina. So, I would lean Florida right now, but Duke's rolling. And when we do these conference picks, I would be I think the ACC is the easiest one to pick of any of them. I don't think there's.
I agree.
A close second.
The American. That might be.
Yeah.
Well, might be the
besides the American, I would
maybe.
Agree with that.
But that's about it. So, we'll see what happens. But that impressive stuff by Duke yesterday. That just the depth. They really did not skip a beat without Flag on the floor. And defensively, Cooper Flag really played well. That was kind of where he separates himself from Janai in a way. He just can guard really 1 to 5 and do it at a pretty high level. So, that while he did not barely, but he didn't play his best game, perhaps on the stats, he defended really well.
Absolutely.
And that's probably enough to seal his spot. As good as Janai played yesterday, it's probably enough to seal Cooper Flag's spot for Player of the Year right now.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that kind of surprised me kind of at the beginning was there was a 1-point game at half because I expected it to kind of be more Duke to have a lot more of a lead going into the second half at least, but the Tar Heels were able to stick around from their good shooting. That's really what kept them in it, at least at the first half. But
I mean, really the only thing that was going to help North Carolina win that game is if they had one huge run, if they had one 18-2 run or 15-0 run or something in there that Duke would have to battle back and climb back into, but they really just didn't challenge them to get stops enough. And yeah, essentially, like once you cut off RJ Davis, there is really nothing else there. And yeah, final point on North Carolina. I do not want to see them in the NCAA tournament. I have seen enough of them. Again, if they had won some of these conference games that they should have won, they would be in the field. And it's not like one or two; it's several games. I understand the non-conference argument, but they didn't win many of those games. Like Dayton almost beat them, and yeah, I just do not think that I think yesterday they might have played like an NCAA tournament team, but they do not have the body work of someone I'm like, they belong in the field.
And honestly,
one quad one win.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't think you're gonna see them in the tournament. Honestly, I think you might see a little bit of them in the ACC tournament, but not in the.
The propaganda is going really strong for them now. I think Joe Lunardi has them as like the second team out. And yeah, like now, granted, there might be some bids stolen in some of these conferences, but yeah, that I would not be. I would just kind of be like, you've got to be kidding me. If I have to watch that team play another game of meaningful basketball, I'm just not that interested.
I think their only shot's going to be if they can beat Duke in the ACC tournament next week, which they should. I can't remember who their first. I think it's Wake is going to be who their first game is probably going to be against. So like
team that beat them.
Yeah, if they can beat Duke in the ACC tournament, that's probably about their only path. Which at that point they should just win the tournament and get an auto bid at that point anyway. But
very true.
But yeah, that was great performance by RJ Davis, but not enough for North Carolina. And yeah, so next game we had to talk about was as we were talking before we came on here, the St. John's Marquette game. Crazy stuff there.
Yeah.
That end sequence, the steal and the shot to win it was just absolutely insane. Marquette came to play, but it was not enough. I heard a stat last night. Marquette doesn't have a win over a team in the field since January 3rd. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
They really
they
could
just
used
have
that
not
one.
beaten the best teams in the Big East, really.
Yeah.
And yet, that was just another game where St. John's went on the road and Marquette played their ass off, as Christian mentioned earlier. Like that place was rocking, but
absolutely,
yeah, they were able to pull through, and what a great game that was. I thought. I mean, if we're talking best games of the day yesterday, I thought the Alabama Auburn game was a little bit more of a ref show than this Marquette St. John's was. I mean, so I thought that was one of the best games of the season. And
absolutely, yeah, I agree. So,
and that
I was gonna say just two of the biggest, both games went down to the wire. So that St. John's Marquette game, they made some crazy shots there, Dan. It seemed like they were trading blows the whole way.
And it's crazy. I'm still only I'm only 24, and this has been probably the best St. John's team that I've seen in my whole life, and it's almost like refreshing. Even though I haven't really I'm not a St. John's fan per se, but it's really refreshing to see like New York City's team finally doing well again. And then, because I've seen a lot of videos of them, in the 90s and stuff like that, in the original Big East days when they were a powerhouse. They've been more or less mediocre for most of my life, and they've only really made the tournament like a couple of times probably. But now it's cool to see them a pretty solidified, almost top 5 team basically.
And it's like, this is not some this St. John's team, it's not some super talented team. Like, they don't shoot it very well. They really can't shoot it from 3 at all. They were 5 of 23 from 3 yesterday. And Patino just he gets the most out of these guys. I mentioned before the season and all year, it's like you could tell he was confident in this group and what he knew he could get out of them, and just how the guys he gets to step up on like Kadari Richmond had a triple-double yesterday. Like he was out of his mind. RJ Lewis had 28. Like they all these guys complement each other so well. Like it's such, even though they don't shoot it well, it's such a well constructed roster. And Pitino, like he's just one of the best coaches of all time. Like
He
he
is,
knows
and
how to get the most
it's
out
the
these
player
guys.
development aspect of it that is super impressive. They that team at the start of the season is not nearly the team they are now, and some of those guys he really has done well with over the last couple of years. Zuby Ejiofor was last year not a very good, not a very high level player, and now he's one of the best players in the Big East. They got Kadari Richmond through transfer portal. That was their big fish, and now like RJ Lewis yesterday probably sealed him Big East Player of the Year. It's probably going to be him or Ryan Kalkbrenner now, and
Cam Jones.
it's really been those three.
He played great yesterday too.
Yeah,
so.
It's really been those three going back and forth for Big East Player of the Year, and RJ Lewis probably won it yesterday. But yeah, just where they were at the start of the season to where they are now, and yeah, it's fun to watch, and yeah, start to finish, they have been the best team in the Big East. They are going to be probably on the 2 line, and yeah, with a Pitino coach team, they're probably not going to run into anyone in NCAA tournament competition with a better coach and with the team. They just kind of know what they are. They play really well together, and they just know what they are. They are not going to, no one's going to expose anything about them that they don't already know, and that's always kind of been a strength of the Pitino teams over the years. So, yeah, I think they are going to be a hugely tough out for someone just because it's, they know what they are. And, yeah, they, their 2 best guys, RJ Lewis and Kadari Richmond, they are going to be the top 2 guys for most teams. And then, the Pitino factor is huge. So, yeah, defensively, they're really sound. They're really organized. And, yeah, Marquette did not make them look like that yesterday because Cam Jones was kind of doing whatever he wanted. But, yeah, really fun game, really fun finish. Yeah, there's not much else can really say about that there. So
yeah, and like you said, they're not the best shooting team and not the most athletic team, but they're one of the most well coached teams in the country. One of the most grimiest. They have that New York City grime to them. They're not going to stop hunting for each ball, trying to go for each loose ball and everything like that. And they keep fighting the whole 40 minutes of each game. That's something that's been a common trend with St. John's throughout the whole year.
And
they're not going to back down from anyone.
They're a very experienced team. And when you have that level of experience on team, those are the teams, you're not going to see them get lazy, and you're not going to see them have lapses and be undisciplined. And especially with a coach like Rick Pitino, they're so fundamentally sound. And it's I don't know if St. John's can win a national championship shooting it as poorly as they do, but like Matt said, they're not going to get exposed.
And they're not going to be afraid to play anybody in the whole country. That's the other thing.
And look at their schedule. Look at the games that they've lost. They're all the Baylor game. That was a game they should not have lost. Zuby Ejiofor missed the 2 free throws, and that was the only reason they lost that game. I mean, they don't have a bad loss on the schedule. There's not a loss where you're just man, they really just got clobbered here, and maybe there are some areas they can be exposed there. They were kind of toss-up games. So, yeah, they are not going to be surprised. No one is going to really get after them in a way that they haven't seen or they're not used to. So, yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Elite Eight's kind of their ceiling. I think there will come a time where they're going to really have to, keep up with the team scoring or a team that gets hot. And that's going to be a tough one for them to manage. But, yeah, I mean, I think them versus Bama would be a fascinating game in every aspect. And, yeah, but thankfully, I don't think Tennessee is going to be on that 1 seed line. So we would avoid a St. John's, Tennessee, 1-2 region, thank goodness, because I'd rather not watch those 2 teams play each other.
Final score 55-50.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, another game to talk about yesterday. We had Kentucky is on a roll. They are figuring things out, and they were able to go into Mizzou and get a win yesterday. I guess maybe the Mizzou hype train got a little out of control because they seem like they're on wobbly ground now, and Kentucky really went into Columbia on senior day and controlled that entire game. And Kentucky is like since what like since I guess since the Arkansas game, like they have flipped the switch defensively. Like they can actually defend a little bit now and like get stops when they need them, and they're not just trying to shoot every team they play out of the gym. And yeah, I mean, I know Mizzou ended up with 83 yesterday. Like it kind of turned into a track meet there at the end once Kentucky already had it sealed up. But they held Mizzou to 29 points in the first half. And Mizzou's a team like we've seen hit 100 points this year. Like they're a great offensive team, and Kentucky was really able to defend them and grind them down. And yeah, Kentucky really seems like they are turning a corner at the right time. Because yeah, this is a lot more balanced version of Kentucky, even from the Kentucky team we saw earlier in the year when they looked like one of the best teams in the nation. And Mark Pope was in the National Coach of the Year discussion. They went through a lull there, but they are really figuring it out right now. And yeah, they can like. I was listening to Field 68 last night. I can't remember what the date they said last night, but they've jumped from like 108 in adjusted defensive efficiency at KenPom to 55 in like the last month or so. Like this team has improved immensely defensively, and like they're making a real jump to being a more well balanced team. And like Owe was awesome yesterday. Obviously, like they need Lamont Butler to stay healthy, and like because it's over for them if he goes down again. But if he can stay healthy and kind of get to where he was pre-injury, they're going to be in good shape. But yeah, Kentucky looks good, and yeah, Mizzou is, like I said, maybe we got a little carried away with the hype train on them.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's. I mean, Mizzou's still a really good team. I mean, they are. You know, I think if they were an ACC team, this discussion would be very different about them. But yeah, I mean, Kentucky's in a place now where I still really don't know what to think of them. I will ask everyone this: like, would you be more surprised if Kentucky was beaten in the first round, or if they went to the Final Four?
Final Four.
Surprised?
Like, I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
be more surprised if they got beat in the first round.
Really?
Because they should be solidly on the 3 line at this point. So, I mean, like obviously you can run into somebody there and get upset, but yeah, I would be more surprised to see this version of Kentucky, the way they're playing, get beat by a 14 seed than make a Final Four run.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say like first weekend maybe. Like if I would be way more surprised if they got to a Final Four. I still think I don't know what to think of their team. They have some really impressive wins, and then they have some losses where I have no idea how that happened or why that happened. And, you know, particularly that Arkansas game. And, you know, they still, like, they are better defensively than what they were, no doubt. I still think they have trouble guarding at certain positions. I think Missouri settled quite a bit against them. Missouri themselves, like, just decided to not pick up Kobe Bray in the first half and let him do whatever he wanted. But yeah, ultimately, I think Kentucky's had a really impressive season. I do not foresee them going particularly far in SEC tournament play. But yeah, I would still kind of be more surprised if they went to a Final Four or to an Elite Eight than if they were to lose in the first weekend. I still think, you know, a team with really good guards will give them a really hard time. And yeah, it's something they could see if they were in that situation on a 3 line, if they saw a 6 seed. But yeah, I still am like, they are playing much better. I am still not sold on them as like a contender. They're just kind of a team that would, like, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost early. I would be pretty surprised if they were one of the last 8 teams remaining, kind of thing. So we'll see, though. They could mount a run in SEC tournament play that changes my mind. But yeah, it's a very bizarre season they've had in terms of, like, how do you know, they beat Florida at home, and then they, Tennessee, they just seem to own. So, yeah, and then they give up, all these points to Arkansas who can't score. And so, yeah, I'm not entirely sold yet. I still don't know. I do think when they're healthy, they are a team that can go really far. But right now, I'm still not entirely convinced. I would still have them losing early on. I would talk myself into them getting beat, pretty early.
Yeah, I agree as well. I actually didn't catch the game last night, but while they are looking, in my opinion, more well-rounded than they were at the beginning of the season, I don't know if they are a Final Four, Elite Eight quite contender, but it seems like they're kind of piecing together a lot of the puzzle here late in the season. But
yeah, I mean, think of, if I were to ask the question again, would you say it was more likely they beat Houston than if a 13 or 14 beat them?
I think Houston would be a terrible matchup.
Or
for them,
Houston, Duke, Auburn, Bama, Florida.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I definitely do.
It's just I think they're figuring out at this point, and obviously we saw them win some great. I mean, they beat Duke. They already
did,
had.
Yes, they already had beat them.
I think you're seeing them now. They're figuring out that they're not a team with elite shooters and elite NBA talent that can just go out there and chuck up threes and win a track meet against most of these elite teams. So they've really figured some things out and locked in on the defensive end where they're okay, if we're gonna win these games against good teams, we're gonna have to figure out how to be a more balanced team. And it seems like they are figuring that out, and they're not just going out there now and trying to get into track meets and outshoot all these teams. They are just a more, it's this version of Kentucky right now. I believe more in this version of Kentucky, how they're playing today, than the version of Kentucky that was beating teams early in the season. The team that beat Duke, the team we saw that was just going out there and they were knocking down those shots early in the season. They look great, and now I think they're more honing in on the defensive end, and they're figuring out that if to make a deep run, they're going to need to be balanced. And I think this version of Kentucky, I'm not sitting here saying today I would predict it, but I think if they keep playing like this, they could make an Elite Eight. And you never know. You get into that game, whoever they play, we'll see at that point. But I definitely think this version of Kentucky should probably be playing on the second weekend.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see. They got SEC tournament play to go through, so.
Hey, we were talking about some rivalry games. I don't know if any of you all caught the Michigan versus Michigan State. The end of that one, there was some little scuffles going on at the end. Some funny chants going on.
I think they were. I don't know if it was before the game or after, but Michigan was trying to step on Michigan's logo at half court.
Yeah,
like they did in football.
Yeah. And it caused a little scuffle at the end, and it was funny. Michigan State, their fan base was chanting "Little Sister" at Michigan, which was just kind of comical, funny to see. Good to see. It wasn't any real fist fights or anything like there can be sometimes, but nothing like a good old rivalry.
There should have been. They should
have
knocked them out. Yeah.
There was a lot of pushing and shoving. It wasn't quite punches through.
Where was Gus Johnson?
The job and knocked them out. Yeah. Gus would have. If Gus were on the call, he would have been like, "These fucking guys again. These guys. When will they learn, Joel?"
Yeah, he would have wanted Tom Izzo to fucking go out and start tasing the Michigan players himself.
Careful, Michigan. They're going to win the national championship now because of you.
I don't think anything will ever top when, who was it? Howard slapped. They were playing, Wisconsin?
Yes, they were
playing
Wisconsin.
Nothing will top that when he smacked him in the,
he grabbed his bald head.
And they didn't fire him after that. He still kept coaching a little bit after.
We've had some nuts in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Howard and Chris or Fran McCaffrey and Chris Collins, all of them are insane.
Good times.
Yeah, that was I did not get to see that one, but yeah, Michigan State took care of business there. Michigan continues to just look awful.
Yeah, very bad.
We'll get to it in a while, but when we talk about the Big Ten tournament, but I'm glad Purdue's quadrant is against Michigan
Yes.
rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
Michigan
yeah.
State or Wisconsin.
Yeah, or any of those guys. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Purdue definitely. Yeah, you're on the right side of the bracket. I would feel.
Definitely, because Wisconsin had a shocking loss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
was
was
going to bring
about
that
to
one up.
mention
What
that.
the fuck happened there?
Shocking. Penn
I
State is
At
bad.
home.
I should say this. Penn State is not bad, but they are not a team that Wisconsin should be dropping games to ever.
They
Like-
are a team that was not good enough to make the Big Ten tournament.
Correct. Yes, they were eliminated from Big Ten tournament play along with Nebraska, who was in the field like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, that is stunning. Like I cannot. There's no shot that like even the most deluded Penn State fan would have picked Penn State to
Them
win
over
there.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
that is a bit concerning, and especially like giving up that many points to Penn State, who is not that good of an offensive team. That is a huge concern. And it wasn't like Wisconsin was not like making shots or anything. They just could not get stops on defense, which is not ideal going forward. So
I just think
yeah.
Penn State is a bipolar team because I respect Mike Rhodes as a coach. It's not
yes,
like
he's done a good
it's not
job.
like they're god awful, but
Although he hates
it's
the
a-
Penn State fan base because they
Yeah.
don't go to games. But yeah, they're not bad. I think Penn State's a Ken Pom tournament team. They're in the top 64 at Ken Pom, or top 68. So, and they are not a bad team. They just, are, I would say, like an average-ish
Mhm.
type of team. And yeah, their strength is like maybe they can beat a couple teams at home, make it interesting, maybe get a game in the old Big Ten tournament format. But yeah, that is shocking for Wisconsin, just
It's wild
across the board.
they have a win over Purdue and Wisconsin.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
Like all three things we just talked about made me think of something. Like speaking of insane coaches who hate their fan bases for not going to games, and teams that aren't going to the Big Ten tournament. Did you guys happen to catch Muss's interview?
Yeah, he's like,
that's what
a
home court
home
advantage
crowd.
looks like.
Yeah, that's what a home court advantage is.
I'll have to
Like,
watch that. I'll have to watch
goodness.
it. I didn't
I
catch
was
it.
like, you're at UCLA. You're not at Purdue. Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? That's not that good of a home court advantage.
And he was walking away from the media scrum, and then he walked back to them to be like, that's what a home court advantage looks like.
Yeah, like
And
you
it
left
storms away.
Arkansas. Like you left the SEC. Like if that was something you cared about, maybe you should have stayed. But yeah, I mean, and he sees it every game in the Big Ten because most of those schools actually do have big fan bases who go to games. So that would probably get annoying after a while. But yeah, they're like, I don't know what it would take for them to have a home court advantage of any kind. I don't think that will ever happen.
I love that Eric Musselman has just at no point in this season been like a relevant discussion. Like other than when I want to make a joke because it's funny, I haven't had to devote like any fucking emotion to that clown. Like,
Well, I mean,
not a fan, and very glad to see his
They
downfall.
did beat Michigan State and Illinois, even though
They have some decent wins.
Yeah,
I mean, mainly because they have to go to them.
Yeah.
And it's out of the way, but yeah.
Let's see. We talked about Penn State, Wisconsin, but yeah, that made no sense. Other results of note: Georgia solidified themselves. They beat Vanderbilt. They will be in without any question now. I think they were already pretty safe, but that sealed the deal. They needed to take care of business, and they did it. So Georgia, get your dancing shoes out.
Indiana
took the words.
secured their spot. They're
Yeah, they did probably today.
beating Ohio State.
Oh, and obviously Texas can put their dancing shoes away. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the
Trey
duel
Johnson's
of
0 for 14.
the Trey Johnson Fears duel ended up being like the worst thing. Like that never came to fruition. Trey Johnson did not make a shot against an Oklahoma team that is like not like elite defensively exactly. So yeah, that was very disappointing. I was hoping for like this guy's gonna put up 40 today, drag his team to an NCAA tournament spot, and that did not happen. So yeah, respectfully, Rodney Terry and Texas, you can enjoy your spot in the NIT. Or the SEC doesn't do the crown, so they will be comfortably in the NIT. So yeah, very disappointed in Trey Johnson. I'm sure he'll, be drafted in the lottery somewhere. But yeah, that was very disappointing. Was expecting a lot better from him, and yeah, I'm sure the Rodney Terry seat has gone from hot to volcanic levels. So
Scorching hot.
Yeah. I would assume Texas to be in the market for a new coach pretty soon.
Okay, I don't know how to put. I'm trying to figure out how to put a background on here on my phone like you guys have, because I had a funny one.
It's easy on the computer. I don't know how easy it is on the
yeah. I
mobile app.
can't find it, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to do it for 5 minutes. But I was gonna put the fucking Indiana fan wearing the fucking Beach headset on Mike Woodson. That was fucking hilarious. Like you see Mike the still shot of Mike Woodson doing that dumb Mike Woodson face that he always does in this fan wearing the fucking giant VR headset behind him.
I put one on.
Was hilarious. Yeah, that was a big win for Indiana. They're going to be in now too. Did you
see Woodson say he's maybe I left too early?
Maybe, yeah. And there's something to it. It's ever since he announced his retirement, their whole season has turned around. They can just play more free, and he can play the guys he wants to. And yeah, I mean, they're just in full on fuck it mode, and it's been working for them. And yeah, they're another team. Get your dancing shoes out. How long it will last for Indiana? I don't expect that to be too long, but Indiana nevertheless is, and Mike Woodson's swan song is going dancing.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Ohio State, on the other hand, is probably not going dancing.
Yeah.
Ohio State is 17-14. The fact they're on the bubble still it's insane.
Yeah, I thought I wanted Ohio State in the field a few weeks ago, and now I'm not really so sure.
Why?
Lenardi still has them in the tournament.
Why? They're 17-14.
Because of the other teams
above 500.
The other teams around the bubble have just lost.
I mean, what we're having discussions about, if obviously Drake is they got it done today, so they
did not steal a bid, yeah.
But the fact that we're having discussions if UC San Diego and VCU don't win their league tournaments, should they be in? And their teams that have just dominated everybody they played all year. And it's if you're telling me if I'd rather see one of those two teams or Ohio State, who is 17-14 and has lost 7 times on their home court, I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying about that.
I just don't think Ohio State's that good. I don't think they should be in the tournament. It's we're probably going to get a couple bid stealers too. So
yeah, for sure.
That should be enough to knock them out. But yeah, Mike Woodson won his last game at Assembly Hall. Let's see. Any other big ones from yesterday we should get into before we get obviously Kansas, Arizona. Kansas got back on track. Don't know if we have much thoughts on that one, but yeah, Kansas, they got
they did, defended home court. I believe you called it on Friday. You were like, how bad is UConn going to beat Seton Hall? And the answer was pretty bad.
Bad.
Yeah, I saw the score early. That it was pretty bad.
It was 18-2.
I was watching a little bit of that.
They were up by 40 at a few points there. So,
Kansas is full on. I don't think they're going to make a deep run, but they've just figured out at this point. It's like we're just giving everything to Hunter Dickinson, and we're either we're going to go down just letting Hunter Dickinson take every single shot.
Still, I don't know about you all. It's kind of weird to see Kansas kind of like middle of the pack in terms of seeding in the Big 12. It's still I'm still getting used to it because it seems like every other year of my life most years they've been regular season conference champions. So
we do have one more game to discuss here, and that would that would be our Baylor dropped a very competitive home game to the Cougs. Tough one. They were in it. They were leading early. They were getting stops. This still was the best defensive game Baylor has played in some time, I will say. BJ Edgecombe played really well. But it was, they've dealt with Cryer for a couple of years now since he left Baylor and beats him again. So all things considered, that's a big time, huge win for Houston against a great Baylor opponent. But yeah, ultimately, the Bears just couldn't get it done on the Houston defense there. So tough sledding for them. And Big 12 tournament. They hopefully got to win a couple games there so they stay off the 8-9 line. But we'll see.
Also, are you going to call the Hogs? They tried to give it away, but
yes, they did. They tried on multiple occasions, especially on the last possession there. But Cal's guys. Cal with one of his better quotes. They put us in the coffin, but they forgot the nails. Like, you go, Cal. It's like, you go. That's awesome. So,
it was so funny. Like, Goodman last night, they asked him about Arkansas, and he's like, "Oh yeah, congratulations! They've had a great last third of the season. That doesn't excuse them being terrible for the first 2/3 of the season."
Fair.
That was another bubble game to mention. And then obviously some conference tournament actions. We have bids locked up. Congrats to SIU Edwardsville going dancing for the first time in program history. Fun fact, the team Doug Gottlieb beat by 30 earlier this year.
Crazy.
Doug Gottlieb and the Green Bay Phoenix have the same amount of wins over the field that North Carolina does. So do what you want with that information. Omaha punched their ticket. They don't even need to win tonight. I guess they can.
They're up now. They're up. Yeah, they're winning.
But either way, they're in because of that insanely stupid rule that we talked about on Thursday on Friday. So they're in regardless. And High Point's going to upset.
Yeah, I agree.
They're going to upset somebody.
Insane.
If they get
Michigan, High Point versus Michigan.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
And this is their first appearance, right? High Point.
Yeah. They've been on the cusp for a while, but they just haven't gotten over the hump.
As we mentioned, also Drake. They clinched, so they
rolled over.
They should have gotten an at-large regardless, but they don't have to worry about that now.
Because it looks like.
Are there any other bids clinched besides those four that I missed?
Lipscomb over North Alabama.
And it looks like that's their first appearance since 2018. So
second
well deserved by them.
For sure.
They play good. They might be on. They might upset somebody too. They just have
the threes are falling for them.
Insane.
They will win.
Shoot.
They will beat someone. Yeah.
If they play a team.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have followed the Colonial tournament but that tournament is out of control because Delaware was a 12 seed. They take 16 teams, I think, to the tournament, or 14 teams.
I did see something about Delaware.
Yes, Delaware is the 12 seed. They're in the semifinal against Towson. They put up 100 today.
Against William and Mary.
Yeah.
Yes, and John Camden had 36 points and 7 rebounds, 5 assists there. This guy was 8 of 10 from 3. So, he was a machine. John Camden is carrying the Blue Hens in the Colonial. But, that one's probably going to be, Towson or Charleston, I would assume.
Yeah, one of my cousins goes to Delaware, and he was actually texting me. I kind of forgot about it, but it's interesting to see Delaware where they had
Delaware lacrosse.
Yep, Delaware lacrosse, and one of the best, one of the most elite quarterbacks of all time came from Delaware. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Flacco
very
right there. Shout out to him. But,
One of the
yeah,
best presidents too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Also
Jacob
has to be discussed before we talk conference tournament picks. Kevin Keats gone a year after the Final Four run.
Did you see his statement? He's entering the transfer portal.
Yeah. I was like, I don't really think that's how that works. Yeah. I don't think that's how they do that. But yeah, Kevin Keats. I think he was going to be fired last year if they didn't do what they did in the ACC tournament. So some of the boosters there were just like, yeah, you enjoy this while you can, because
Is he the first coach to ever get shit canned a year after a Final Four?
Probably.
I mean, Coach O got let go after winning the national championship at LSU. So
that happened at Miami, I think, too. Larry Coker.
Yeah, Larry Coker was there he won, and then they went to the national championship in 2002. He made it. He lasted like a few more years, and then they were like, "You're out of here."
Jacob and Christian, though, I have to give Jacob the Christian and the floor to give the funerals for their respective alma maters. Marshall lost a heartbreaker last night to Arkansas State, and ETSU went down to Wofford. Christian's off the screen at the moment, so Jacob, I will let you give the funeral for your alma mater. I know you were none too happy about it, nor should you be, but
because we played good. Wofford just took over in the second half. ETSU didn't come out like they should have. It was tied 54 with like a couple minutes, like maybe 4 or 5 minutes left, and immediately afterwards, Wofford just hit a three, and we fouled them on that three. So that pretty much ended the game, ended any momentum we had. Rough season, rough loss last night. The SoCon tournament's been kind of crazy. The top four seeds all went down. I think most people that follow the league knew that there was going to be craziness. Chattanooga, they went down tonight to Furman after struggling with Mercer yesterday for a good portion of the game. They had one of their players out. UNCG is just not coached well. ETSU just kind of got nerves, let Wofford get the best of us.
UNCG's got no excuse dropping VMI. That was inexcusable.
Talk about a good coaching job this year. VMI with Andrew Wilson. He's done an excellent job. They have to be one of the biggest turnarounds in college basketball. From going from 4 and something, last year they couldn't even win games, and this year they're competitive with the SoCon power. They gave every SoCon team a game. But unfortunately, they did not play as well tonight against Wofford. So it's Furman versus Wofford. I hope Furman beats the dog shit.
They're going to, yeah.
Wofford.
I agree.
Wofford's fan base. I'm ready to just.
Really? Are they not? I haven't heard much about it. She should enlighten me a little bit. I haven't heard much about it.
I said Wofford isn't a real school last night. I gave them props saying they played better, but I said they weren't a real school, and they absolutely lost their minds on Twitter.
They attacked you.
Jacob puts in our group chat, I'm absolutely destroying these Wofford fans. And then, I go and look, and the first thing I see is, Jacob replying to some guy saying, imagine not even going to a real school. I was like, oh, you fucking got him there.
They're still, celebrating Fletcher McGee. And
yeah. I was like, how did that work out against Kentucky? Not well.
Yeah,
and
they almost had him, but that was,
yeah.
Christian, also, I gave Jacob the floor to speak about the end of the season for his alma mater. Would you like to do the same? The Herd, I was pulling for him last night. They they dropped an absolute heartbreaker to Arkansas State.
Yeah,
Game they definitely could have won.
Yeah, and I feel like most of us were pulling for the herd there at the end, and we had guys. We definitely had some pretty good players on our squad. Oh, Obina and Chili Killen. I don't know if you all are familiar with him. He's a freaking dog. He's been there for quite a while, but he's the one that caught like the game-winning alley-oop from the previous round, which you rarely see a game-winning alley-oop, which is pretty eventful to see. But yeah, I was hoping we'd win it all because not that it's a very conference or super powerhouse conference of the Sun Belt. We did start off a little bad in conference play, but it seems like they're like towards the end, like a switch kind of flipped, and we did start playing very well. Our guys really started doing what they're capable of. But with how wacky of a tournament that was, I don't know if you all have seen like a bracket of what the Sun Belt looks like, but we were the fifth seed, the fifth overall seed, and we had a bye till the fourth round. I don't know what type of sense that makes. I mean, I'm not complaining because we still got a little.
Were you guys one of the champions? Because didn't like 5 different schools claim the regular season championship?
Yeah, but no, we were like one game away from the fourth spot. So we were right below like all those main teams. So we didn't get as big of a bye as like USA did. But I'm actually going to check up on that. I know James Madison's getting.
Yeah, I got the James Madison Troy game on right here. James Madison's making a comeback.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Arkansas State.
I'm going to check on that right now. Yeah, they are making a comeback.
Versus Troy will be a.
Arkansas State's a good team. They beat.
I was going to say
earlier this year.
I think Arkansas State is going to win the Sun Belt. I think they definitely are going to, regardless of who wins between Troy and James Madison. Yeah, Arkansas State definitely is a good team. But
they're very high on Troy and their defense. That's
are you?
A lot of the Sun Belt teams, some of them don't defend, so I picked Troy to win that conference. But I do think Arkansas State's the best team. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But ultimately, siding with Troy.
Matt,
we do have a. I don't know. I was just gonna say, I was like, we do have a Sun Belt tournament correspondent there right now that we can go to live if we need to.
Get him up on here, like a JMU Troy live up.
Yeah,
why is he there? Like,
I have no idea. He was really trying to get to. He was like, I want to go to a conference tournament game. I was like, okay. Like,
pick the Sun Belt. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
aren't you guys going to be in DC next weekend?
He was like, we're on spring break, and he was like, oh, the Sun Belt's nearby. I was like, okay, like, so he was like, yeah, I'm really into the Sun Belt. So I was like, all right, and I didn't actually think he was going to go, but yeah, he was like, so yeah, he went to the Sun Belt tournament, and now it's all he talks about. He's obsessed with Sun Belt basketball. So. He will 1,000% be picking whoever wins the conference to beat someone in the first round, the NCAA tournament. So, and now he's like studied up on the Sun Belt and sees like JMU won a game. So, yeah, he's very into the Sun Belt now.
Fun fact: I had that JMU upset over Wisconsin last year.
Yeah, that was.
There you go.
That was a good one.
Picked that one. One more conference tournament game I'd like to announce before we start getting into picks. Or not announce, but talk about. How about Navy upsetting number 1 seed Bucknell in the Patriot League?
That's very surprising.
Ed DeChillis.
Yeah.
Former ETSU coaching great.
And we got the battle of the DMV for the Patriot League. American and Navy.
Either way, America wins.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there we go.
Either way.
Seems like whoever wins that one, it's going to be all like I'm going to get to see Auburn play in person against either the Patriot League champ
Annapolis
or the SWAC
and
champ.
Taneytown will be off the hook. It will be live action there.
Shit. Yeah, you guys got any other ones from yesterday you want to get into before we start rolling through these conference tournaments?
The
Holy War was last night.
Yeah, not off the top of my head.
I'm just looking through all the conference tournament games.
At the SIU Edwardsville, like, SEMO played one of the worst fucking conference, like, with everything on the line. They shot 28% from the field and went 3 for 24 from 3. I mean, that was one of the worst championship game performances
It was rough,
I've
yeah.
ever seen.
Yeah, imagine I couldn't imagine being a small school and performing that bad.
I mean, we do have
conference championship.
Drake winning as the most popular upset pick to be. I'm sure everyone's going to learn everything about Drake coming up here in 2 weeks. So, yeah, that's going to be everyone's going to be an expert on them. So, not looking forward to that. But yeah, they are going to be, I feel like, the trendiest like upset pick out there.
Yeah, I definitely think they are the trendiest. They're 30-3.
They're 30-3. Yeah, they won 3 games.
So deservingly so. They definitely are going to be one of those people that everyone's calling a Cinderella from the get go. So I would expect that as well.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Drake is not very popular in the mainstream these days. So
yeah. You're right.
Kendrick, you might take it to him. Yeah.
Yeah. That you got to watch out for Kendrick in the first round.
Someone's gonna make that joke.
Oh, bro, whatever team plays them in the first round, the memes are gonna be
off the chain.
Yeah, I hope it's Gus Johnson. That way, yeah, we can. And that'll do it. Drake says they not like
electric. Yeah, I would love for Gus Johnson to commentate that game. That'd be great.
Got a lot of wants and needs here tonight.
It's not Drake's first time seeing a 12 by his name.
Oh. Yikes.
So who? All right, fuck it. Pull him up, Jacob.
Okay, I'll pull him up.
Pull him up, man.
Okay, let's see.
Jamie, pull it up.
Let's see where the first one is. I guess we'll start out with
I don't really
A10.
care about the order. You can just go in whatever.
A10.
Yeah, we'll start out with A10.
Sounds good.
A10
pull it up.
Favorite, potentially.
Same.
The A10 is always a crapshoot.
I know who I have for the A10. I know who I have. If you want me to start off.
I guess
here we go.
I got it pulled up.
Everybody can read that for sure.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
I mean,
oh god,
not too hard.
There we go.
I can tell you all who I have. I personally have George Mason.
Yeah, I think
Katie Johnson, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm actually in the Northern Virginia area. I've actually caught a couple George Mason games this year. I've got to see the former Tiger, Katie Johnson, there, and he hasn't had the craziest season. Yeah, he's not really going like insane this season, but it kind of feels like him and that team are kind of built for March, in my opinion. So I do see them winning the conference and putting their dancing shoes on.
I've mentioned former Buccaneer Jalen Haynes is on there as well. He's a force inside.
Oh yeah.
It could honestly be anybody in the A10. Last year, I don't think anybody had Duquesne winning the A10. I think it was. What was the final? Was it Duquesne versus? It was somebody random too.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It was Duquesne Dayton, but I'm not sure.
I got my pick. My pick's gonna be Dayton. Dayton's been hot lately. They've beaten both VCU and George Mason here recently.
Yes, they had a big win at VCU yesterday.
I'm going with Dayton. They seem like they're turning it on at the right. But I will say, even if Dayton wins, as long as VCU gets to the championship here, VCU deserves an at-large, and I hope they don't get screwed by that. But
honestly, the A10 should always have like 2 or 3 bids every year. I mean, I think the brand of basketball there, it's high level mid-major basketball, and like. I'm a big believer in Dayton too. I mean, they gave it to Iowa State team, I believe,
Yeah,
They
early
win
on in the
They
Maui.
did, yes.
Mhm.
They
Iowa
only lost
State,
by 5,
UConn.
yeah.
Mhm.
that whole tournament, that'll really help. I know Dayton fans aren't really the biggest fan of their coach at the current moment, but
Yeah.
they finished strong down the stretch in the season.
So we got
So-
one
Yeah.
Mason, one Dayton, Matt and Jacob. Who do you guys got?
I'm gonna go George Mason too.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go George Mason.
What
So
time is
nobody
that?
has taken the favorite here.
Yeah, so this basically comes down to 3 teams. This is VCU, Dayton, or George Mason. I'm trying to talk myself into, because I can't really decide myself. But yeah, so I mean, it's hard. Like, George Mason is like an elite, like nationally elite defensive team. Like, not for their conference, they're
for
like
sure.
a nationally elite defensive team. They played at Cameron earlier in the season. They competed with Duke. They had won 12 straight in the conference until they won. I think they lost at VCU. They beat them, and then they had one shocking result at Duquesne. That was pretty bad. But for one, they are huge. They're a really big team. So all of their starters, they don't have a single starter under 6'4". Jalen Hayes, their stud. I love his game. He is a center, but he can do literally everything for their team. He's a little undersized for a center. He's only 6'8", but he still is a machine. Everything goes through him. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much only Jalen Hayes and Darius Maddox, the 2 guard, and they pretty much alternate the point guards between Braden O'Connor and Katie Johnson. So I just don't know if George Mason can score. Like, if they got to VCU, like, and they got that matchup, I don't know if they could beat the VCU defense. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Dayton's kind of the opposite, where Dayton really cannot defend. I mean, and Dayton's non-conference is super impressive. They only lost to UNC by 2. They lost to Iowa State by 5, and they beat UConn by 18. They beat Marquette by 8. So yeah, and then they turned around, started conference play 1-3. They finished 11-3. They just won at VCU yesterday. Obviously, only thing with Dayton, they have like no depth. They only go 7 deep. Foul trouble can be an issue for them. Really like Malachi Smith, their point guard. He's a machine. And then Nate Santos is not the easiest guard, but he's still leading scorer on their team. Averages like 14 a game, and I just don't think Dayton defends well enough to, if they have to get into the mud with George Mason and VCU, I don't know if that is the best matchup for them. And then, VCU, I'm probably going to go with VCU. I mean, they're top 30 KenPom. Non-conference was terrible. I will admit they started off horribly non-conference. They got beat by Seton Hall. They only beat Miami by 7. They turned around. They played a decent game in New Mexico. They only lost by 7 at the Pit. So they've beaten every team in the conference relatively easily at least once, except for Dayton. Dayton's the only team that they just cannot crush, but they've crushed everyone else. And I mean, they offensively, they're really efficient offensively. They're just a really well-balanced team. Really like Max Shulga. He's their leading scorer, puts up 15 a game. Joe B puts up 15 a game for them as well. And the front court's really tall. They're never going to get in a situation where they're in foul trouble, because they got 3 guys at 6'10". They can defend the rim really well. So I would say that it would probably be a VCU George Mason final. Take the under. Selfishly, I would want Mason to win, because I want to see them in the tournament as well, and I think VCU will do enough to get an at-large. But gun to my head, I would probably take VCU. So we'll see. But I'm really cheering for Tony Skinn. Really like Tony Skinn, George Mason's coach. He was on their Final Four team in 2006. So it's a cool story there. But none of these outcomes would really surprise me. I would not be shocked. I would be a little surprised if Dayton won, only because they would presumably have to go through VCU and go through Mason. So we'll see, but I'll take VCU.
Didn't expect to just get the full A10 examination from Matt here, but he did it.
There you go.
Hats
Nonetheless, appreciate that, man.
Okay. I guess
Thank you. Yeah. I'll be here all week. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But
yeah, it
all
looks like an exciting conference, but depending on who's in the
it's going to be
championship,
a really fun tournament. Yeah.
I might try to catch a final of it. Honestly, if it's in DC,
Yeah.
so I might try to stop by.
this should be an easy one. Are we all taking Duke?
I am. I'm taking Duke.
It should be Duke Clemson championship, and that should be
But also, I think it is kind of cool how there's some sort of sleeper teams that like Clemson's kind of random to be pretty good in college basketball. So I feel like that's kind of cool to see. It's cool to see Louisville kind of revamped because I mean you all have seen what their records look like the past handful of years. Hasn't been very pretty, but it's cool to see them doing well again, kind of picking up where they were a few years ago. So
yeah. I mean Duke, I think they've just got too much firepower for the rest.
Gosh.
With how the rest of the ACC is this year. Clemson, they're kind of a sleeper pick in March Madness. So after their Elite Eight run last year, they played great down the stretch. If there's a team that's in a must-win spot, obviously it's Wake Forest here. It's probably going to be Wake Forest versus UNC. But if somehow Wake goes on a run, I hope Wake goes on a run.
What does a run look like for them, though? Like, just getting to have the opportunity to get crushed by Duke?
I
don't know.
I mean, Wake and North Carolina are both going to be they have to win against Duke to get in.
Yeah. I mean, this should be Duke, Clemson, and Clemson. I give Clemson the best chance to beat Duke. They've obviously done it already, and that's a really old, experienced group, coming off the Elite Eight last year. So, this should be no indecision. Like, it's the easiest conference to pick. There's just, unless Cooper Flag begins sweating uncomfortable amounts, there should be no way that Duke does not win the ACC tournament.
Cooper Flag gets the stomach bug the night before the ACC tournament.
Would that be enough? Like, I still don't think that would be enough to not have them win.
Hey, Northern Arizona is giving Montana all they can handle in the Big Sky right now, by the way. I don't know if anybody's tuned into that one. That could be a surprising result.
Go Northern Colorado.
Yeah, I think Northern Colorado was actually my pick to win their conference.
Old Starch Madness.
Yeah, they were my pick to win the Big Sky.
I guess I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, I don't think there's the Big East.
Oh, the Big East. I know who I have.
John Fanta's favorite tournament.
Fanta's so excited. I love Fanta. He's the best. Yeah.
He's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm actually I have not decided who I'm picking in this one yet. I probably will need to decide in the next minute or two, but I
could tell you who I think I'm picking.
John or
Jacob Reed I was gonna say St. John's is definitely my pick. I just kind of feel like they've separated themselves from the rest of the Big East, in my opinion. And kind of like I was saying earlier, this is one of their first times being super legit of a team kind of in my lifetime. They've really only made the tournament a couple times since I've really been watching college basketball like that. But I think it's good to see for the sport, to see them doing well. New York City's team shining once again. So, yeah, St. John's is my pick.
I think the final is going to be St. John's versus Creighton. I think the winner is going to be either of them. I'm going to go with Creighton on this one. I think Creighton's just going to go on a run. They have the most experience. St. John's, I think they'll go far in the NCAA tournament, but it's just going to be down to the wire against St. John's.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that'll also that will help St. John's is the fact that it is played in MSG. It's right there in their Madison Square Garden, so they have home turf advantage right there. So, but yeah, I definitely could see Creighton winning. So
It'll be interesting to see what the dynamic is like because, I mean, UConn fans usually pack that place out, but this is also the first time we've seen St. John's be this good. So I imagine it'll be if we do get the St. John's UConn final, it'll be quite.
For sure.
I don't know, Matt. Do you know who? Are you picking your Huskies or like?
No, I'm not. I think that this is going to be a UConn St. John's final for the Big East Championship. This tournament always delivers every year. It's
Absolutely.
never a dull moment.
Every single
no
year,
doubt.
for sure.
And I think this, I truly think it means the most to St. John's to win it this year. I mean, they did play UConn really tough last year in the Big East quarterfinal. That was a really good game. And, yeah, I mean, that they should be great games. I still think St. John's they are the best team in the conference. They deserve to seed number 1. They are going to get a really tough draw with Marquette or Xavier in that 4-5, whoever wins that one. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't overcomplicate it. St. John's, I think this just means a great deal to them to win this conference tournament. I think more so than the other teams in the field. I do think Creighton matches up the best with St. John's. They played a really good game with them at MSG a few weeks back. Ryan Kalkbrenner got hurt that game, came back, and then St. John's ultimately hung on to win. But yeah, if it's a UConn St. John's final, that'll be awesome. I think UConn really likes their chances against St. John's. The game at home, they should have won. They were the better team for probably 38 minutes of that game, and then St. John's just put on a masterclass in the last 2 minutes. And then the game at MSG, St. John's they were pretty much in control of that one. But yeah, I would probably say St. John's wins the Big East championship over UConn there. I would watch out for Villanova. Villanova needs to win desperately. Their season is on the line. They have the nation's leading scorer with Eric Dixon. If they do not play like idiots on the offensive end, which they've been prone to do, and get in scoring droughts despite having the nation's leading scorer, that's a game that or just a team in general that has the potential to get hot. But yeah, so would watch out for them. But yeah, I would say St. John's UConn final. That'll be a really good game. But yeah, I think it means a great deal for St. John's to win the Big East tournament. So
I'm gonna go with an upset. I was debating to do it or not. I'm gonna pull the trigger on it. I'm going with Xavier. Xavier, they've been playing good basketball. They have an experienced team. They're right on the bubble right now, and they probably don't have enough big win. They're right on the fence, and they're gonna be desperate in this tournament to make sure they solidify their seeding and I think the level of desperation, I think they can pick off St. John's. That draw, they play Marquette, that's going to be tough. But if they get past there, I think they can pick off St. John's. And then, what it really came down to is I think Creighton's going to beat UConn. And so I think it'll come down to Creighton and Xavier there. And, I mean, Xavier just dog-walked Creighton a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, I mean, screw it. I don't know how crazy it is, but I'll go with the mild upset there and go with Xavier.
I mean, honestly, Big East, you could see any of these teams going on a run.
I agree. Yeah,
I was looking earlier.
Yeah, it is the tournament
quick.
where any of the top 6, you would not. I don't think it would be a shock to anyone if they ended up in the championship game or won.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Xavier is
really...
plus 1,000 to win the tournament, by the way.
Sure.
That I mean, they would have to go through Marquette and St. John's just to get to the championship game.
Right.
So that adds up.
It might not be a bad idea to put a little bit of money on it, a couple bucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Musketeers. I don't know. We'll throw a couple wild cards in here. So we got Matt with St. John's, Christian with St. John's.
St. John's for sure.
Jacob, you took Creighton.
Creighton.
And I'll take Xavier. All right. What we got next?
Okay, I guess let's go. Let's see. Big Ten.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
This is the one, by the way,
This is
where
really
like
interesting.
Rothstein tweeted it and it had like John Rothstein sucks in the corner on it. And he tweeted like, I guess whoever sent it to him was trying to fuck with him, and then he like deleted it a couple hours later and tweeted a different picture. But thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Matt, who do you have winning the Big Ten rather?
Well, for the
Who
Big
do you
Ten,
think?
Michigan State has separated themselves as the best team in the conference. They deserve to be considered the best team in the conference. However, I am going to pick Maryland to win the Big Ten tournament. Rolling with the Terps, they get the very fortunate Michigan matchup on their side of the bracket. And Michigan State gets a bit of a, that could be a difficult draw for them on that side. And yeah, I think still have a bad taste in their mouth after that Trey Holloman half-court shot winner. I think they would argue that they're better. Starting five might be better than Michigan State's, but yeah, I think Michigan State knows what they are. Their seeding is pretty set, as we've talked about. There's not really anything they're going to gain from winning the Big Ten tournament. So yeah, I'm going to go with Maryland, the Terps, Kevin Willard, Derek Queen, taking home the Big Ten tournament.
Hey, Matt, I'll tell you what, I am also going Maryland. And
There you
the
go.
Crab
Yeah.
Five, as they call it, Derek Queen.
Yep.
I feel like every
Hit him
commentator
with the
says
Crab
this.
Five. Yep.
The Crab Five, yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I feel like every commentator says this, but if Derek Queen was playing, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, he would be the first pick in the draft.
Well,
I think
I
he was
mean,
white and
some are
European.
saying that if he were European and white, he would be the first. pick
Yeah,
in this year's draft.
because
Yeah.
he does remind me of someone in his style that he
Yeah.
plays with, a little awkward guy. Jokic.
Yeah.
He has a little bit
Yeah.
of that in his bag. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't quite have the height, but no, I do feel like Maryland is gonna win. And I was actually I was kind of on the edge about the Big Ten. I was talking to my brother. He was explaining to me kind of the losses that they've had. They've either all been like insane buzzer beater losses, or they've been like a West Coast game that's been at like 11 p.m. Eastern time tip off. So, but while they have been a very unclutch team, I guess I don't know if that's a word, but they've been very not clutch throughout the year. I feel like they can kind of flip the switch. They're going to be looking to get revenge against Michigan State. So I'm picking Maryland.
I'm going to add to that real quick because I'm also taking Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think being on that side of the bracket with Michigan is very favorable to them.
That's something
I
else.
feel like Purdue's probably going to beat Michigan anyway.
Me too.
So they'll probably have to face Purdue there, but because of like the road Michigan State has to go through and like that matchup with UCLA could be kind of tough, or whoever comes out of that Indiana
The
Oregon
matchup with UCLA, like they've already been beaten by Indiana and Oregon before, so
yeah, that'll be 3 for Maryland. And Jacob, I'm sure you're going to take Purdue. You can tell us why.
I'm going to take Maryland as well.
Okay.
Looking at it, I think
sweep here.
I do not think Michigan. I think Purdue will beat Michigan. I think they got by. We smoked them at Mackey, the road game at the Chrysler Center. There's a lot of luck involved in Michigan winning that one, and now Michigan's reeling as a team. I think Purdue will be very happy to take one back at them after Vlad Golden's flops. But when we play matchup with Maryland, I think Maryland will want to get one back on us from the game. We beat them at Mackey earlier in the season. So I think I'll take Maryland in that matchup. I think they'll have more. I think Maryland's a hotter team right now. And I think the winner comes from the bold prediction. Whoever wins the bottom side of the bracket, I think they're going to win just because of the top side is kind of a murderer's row, defensively. So.
Yeah, it's a very different sides of that bracket there with Illinois and then Purdue under them there. Just the offensive side, you could say. So, Yeah, those would be fun games. I mean, Illinois Purdue was fun, and then of course, Illinois Maryland. I hope Maryland crushes. I hope they destroy Illinois.
Bro, I hate Illinois so much.
So we're all on Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was actually going to be the only one. I thought I was going to be the only
No.
one on Maryland for some reason.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it might be
unpopular. Usually the best team in the Big Ten, like the Big Ten tournament, it's kind of a toss-up because the Big Ten, usually the best team doesn't have much to play for, because they're already solidified.
Right. Like Michigan State in this example.
And another team has more to play for. Like it's happened before. Like last year, Wisconsin won it. I think. Was it Wisconsin?
I think so. I'm gonna check on that.
Was it Illinois or Wisconsin? Yeah, I think it was Illinois.
For Big Ten tournament last year.
Yeah, I think it was Illinois. I forget who won it.
I thought it was Wisconsin, but I could be very wrong.
Wisconsin. Oh no. Sorry. Illinois beat Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember who won it for a minute.
Yeah, neither could I. That's all good. But yeah, I get what you're saying because Michigan State already has a very solidified, decent spot, but it almost would mean more to a team like Maryland to get the conference championship under their belt. I don't really know the last time they've won a postseason conference tournament.
They've never won it in the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten, I didn't think so. Out of all the really good teams they've had, all the great players really over the past 10, 15 years, I guess they really haven't gotten it done. But yeah, that's my pick. I kind of thought I was going to be all alone on that one. But
all right, clean sweep for Maryland. What we got next? Big 12, I assume.
Let's see. Yeah, it's the Big 12.
By the way, after this, for the sake of keeping it alphabetical, because OCD about it, I sent you the American last. Throw that one up next.
Okay.
But yeah, Big 12. I'll go first real quick for this one. I think Houston's going to roll here. None of these Big 12 teams, I have not seen an ability from any of them to be competitive and keep it close with Houston on a neutral court. I mean, BYU's been hot, but I don't know. I think Houston's going to roll here.
Yeah, one of my more upset picks actually is BYU off of 8 straight wins. Houston's the best team in the conference, but I don't know. It just seems like they might be the better Cougar in this one. They have a little bit more momentum going into this one. So, but it's just still so weird to not see Kansas as like a 1 or 2 seed, honestly. But
I'm trying to. This is so small. I'm trying to pull it up. And
I guess
who's where real quick.
I guess I'll go Houston too. Like you said, Travis, they just have so much. I mean, they have the best defense in the conference and just can control the pace of games. BYU, Houston, that will be a fun game. I think Texas Tech comes out of that bottom side of the bracket. I'm not a big believer in Arizona, not a big believer in Kansas. Baylor's kind of having a down year, so I think it's going to be Texas Tech versus Houston in the championship.
This one, no matter how hard you try to find the upset potential, it should be Houston. Houston's in a
I think
weird place.
Iowa State would be the upset potential for what it's worth.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, Houston's in a very weird spot with conference tournaments. So under Kelvin Sampson, they've never really taken the conference tournament very seriously. They got crushed last year, yeah. Like Iowa State beat them by, I think, like 18. The year before that, they did not. I don't think they've won a conference championship since 2022. They beat Memphis. And then 2023, Memphis beat them in their last year in the American. And then, last year, Iowa State handed it to them. But, yeah, Houston is – I mean, we talk about Florida getting acclaim for potentially being the best team in the sport right now. It very well might be Houston. Houston has only been beaten one time the entire season in regulation, and that was to who, Travis?
I think we all know who.
Yeah. So Auburn is the only team
the best team in the country.
Yeah, Auburn is the only team that's beaten Houston in regulation all season. Texas Tech, San Diego State, Bama, they all, needed overtime to beat them. So, yeah, I mean, Houston should win this.
That was the fight game, by the way.
Yes, yeah. This should be Houston's tournament. There should be no, reason for them to drop any games in this one. BYU will be the toughest. BYU's won 8 in a row. They have completely turned their season on its head. It's been fun to watch there. That'll be a really fun game. The only other storyline to watch is there a chance this is Kansas's really last opportunity to, turn things around going into NCAA tournament play. Kansas will need to get a game or two. Can they get a game or two? If they, against Arizona and then against Texas Tech, if they see them, that'll be, biggest questions they'll have to answer there. But yeah, this should be, I would assume, probably Houston, Texas Tech, and then, Houston, one of their losses, they had been beaten by Texas Tech at home. J.T. Toppin got ejected, and they still beat them. So, yeah, that's a game that Texas Tech has been running their mouth about all season, and then they had to deal with the Mahomes game. They put on ESPN. They so badly wanted Texas Tech to win that game with Mahomes in attendance, and Houston just gave it to them. So, yeah, I would think this should be Houston, Texas Tech. I wouldn't be, overly stunned if Texas Tech beat them just because, under Sampson, they have not really ever seemed to put their foot on the gas in conference tournament play. So,
no belief in the Bears?
I mean, it's I would be. They just don't match up well with some of these teams, and they're on track to play Texas Tech if they have to see them. That's not a good matchup for them. They'd be much better suited with Arizona. So, yeah, I do not particularly, if the guards caught fire and if they actually tried to, if they get the same effort that they got when they played Houston, then yes, they could absolutely win multiple games in Big 12 tournament play. But, the season as a whole, they're going to need that effort that they had against Houston every single game to be remotely competitive. So, yeah, right. Houston should be the pick there.
Okay.
So we got 3 Houston and a BYU.
Yep. The 1 BYU.
Let's find the American bracket. Okay, here we go.
All right, so this is Memphis.
Yeah. It's Memphis all the way. We
it should be
all down the line.
Now, let us not dismiss UAB. UAB is a very fun team. Love watching UAB play. They were actually favored in a game against Memphis last week. And Memphis went on the road and beat them. But, ultimately, this is Memphis. Yeah, Memphis, it's their tournament to lose. FAU has a fun team. This is a bracket of, really fun teams. I enjoy watching them play basketball. I don't know how good any of them are on a national scale. But, UAB's
Temple
fun.
will have,
Texas
a triple overtime game.
Yeah,
at some point
Jamal Mashburn will put up, 50 in a game or something. Memphis is multiple levels better than any team in the American, and that this should be a relatively simple. Now, granted, there is the potential for them to kind of be they could run into a really desperate team. Not that any of these teams are bubble teams, so it's not as if they're going to be it's still an NCAA tournament berth, but they're still so much better. Haggerty is my favorite player that nobody talks about in the country.
Yeah, I love Haggerty as well.
Yeah, so it should be Memphis. I would be pretty surprised if it were any non-Memphis or UAB team that
won. I would agree. While it is a fun conference to see some games of, I don't think it's a very strong conference. No. There's not really a
top heavy.
Very
top heavy.
For sure. And besides Memphis or maybe UAB, I think we kind of know what it'll come down to. As you all know, I have lots of family in Memphis. My parents both went there, so I'm a big Tigers guy. So I'm hoping to see them win another conference title under Penny. So, and hopefully they get a.
How's the big man feeling about all this?
No, he definitely thinks Memphis is gonna crush it in there, as he should, just because because I also think they are going to crush it in the conference tournament. And honestly, my dad thinks it's one of the better, or he actually thinks it's the best team that Penny's had. Not like between. There's been a lot of, as you all know, some crazy recruits that have came in through Memphis.
I mean, he's correct on
kinda
that.
overall.
It is their best. It is the highest ceiling team that he's had there in terms of.
I don't think it's the most talented team he's had.
Right,
But
right.
definitely the one
But overall,
yeah,
when you bring them all in together, all on the same
they
team,
have
all
grown adults. And it's not James Wiseman and people who are just so
like Amani Bates. It's not like
those
head cases.
Yeah. So
I honestly, give me the upset pick. Give me UAB.
Okay.
In honor, because my NCAA 25 dynasty, like my online dynasty, is UAB.
There you go.
And I bought a couple UAB shirts, so I'm gonna
Dragons.
go for them. Yeah.
Yes, sir. There you go. I respect
that. Yeah.
All right. What we got next?
Let's go back up. Let's find where are we at?
Should be Big West, I think.
Yes.
CUSA, or actually
All
Big
right.
West. Yeah.
So are we taking Irvine or San Diego?
I picked San Diego.
Yeah, give me San Diego. I think they have a more complete team than Irvine at this point.
Yeah, they are better. San Diego should be at large regardless, I hope. There should be no reason they are not. They are that good of a team. Probably the best team in the Big West by a decent margin. Irvine's really good, but San Diego's just straight up better than they are. And they're on a 12-game win streak here, and they've won all of those games relatively comfortably. They had a close call, as we talked about before, with Long Beach State, but they are so much fun. I love what they do, and they don't turn the ball over offensively ever. They are one of the best defensive teams in the country. ATJ, their stud. He draws a ton of fouls. He's like the Zach Edey of guards. He gets to the line all the time. They're all huge. Also, all their starters are 6'4" or taller. We got 4 guys who average over double digits, and they are also going to be on the Drake trajectory of this is a team that could be really dangerous, that everyone's going to feel like they know something about. I would be shocked if it was not shocked, because Irvine's good. I mean, Irvine in their own right, they're a Ken Pom tournament team. They are nationally elite defensively. Unfortunately for them, their non-conference is just the worst. It's very, very bad. So Northern Iowa, I think, is their best win non-conference. So they are going to need to win the Big West to get in. But they're awesome. Looked in that big German 7-footer. He's at 15-9. He's one of the best players in the country, best defenders in the country for sure. I do think that San Diego will win the conference, but Irvine will be a valiant close second. That game should be a lot of fun when it inevitably happens, because I don't see Riverside taking that down Irvine. This league got weird last year. Irvine was the number 1 seed last year, and then Long Beach State with a lame duck coach won the league. So that was a very weird story.
I was gonna say, did Fullerton not make the show here? Or are they cut teams out?
Long Beach didn't make it.
I was just saying, where's
last year, and they did not make it. So
Hawaii also did not make
bottom 2.
So it's San Diego. Northridge gave them a decent-ish game when they played them, but this should be San Diego through and through. Love Eric Olin, their coach. Just love everything about that team. I just hope they don't get stuck on a 7 line and have to play 2 seed. That should be a lot of fun.
I'm gonna go with Irvine here. I mean, they have a win over San Diego this year at San Diego. Irvine's a good team, like you mentioned. They're a top defense in the nation on KenPom. Like Irvine's a legit team. They have that win at San Diego this year. They also lost at home to San Diego.
They do,
but
yes. And then San Diego came back and crushed them. Yeah.
But I think this is just another spot where it's like I think San Diego should be in the field regardless. Like obviously, like they're not going to rest their Giannis on that, but like I think Irvine here, like they're a good team and they know that they have to win this tournament to get in the field. So yeah, I mean, to keep it interesting, partly to keep it interesting, and like I do honestly think they could in a desperation spot win it. And like I said, they already have the win over San Diego this year. I'll go with Irvine.
I think it'll be a close game regardless of what happens.
It should be, yeah.
I think it'll be one of the best conference tournament championships you'll see this week.
Those are two awesome coaches. Eric Olin and Russ Turner are top of the line coaches. It should be a really good game.
Turner at UC Irvine. It's crazy how long he's been there. I remember the team a few years ago with all the it was like the tallest lineup in the NCAA.
Mamadou Ndiaye was there.
Yeah,
and
like the 2 7-footers.
Yeah.
But
All right.
I guess we'll move on to the Conference USA.
Good Lord. I had to scout this one out because I'm not a huge Conference USA watcher, but I did land on my pick in this one. I'm gonna go with Kennesaw State. They just beat Liberty last week. I think like Kennesaw State's been playing really good basketball, and they're going to have that game against Liberty there, and then I believe, like I said, this is all research. I'm not going to act like I've watched these games and broke down the scenes, but they beat the shit out of Jacksonville State twice this year. So yeah, I mean, I like where Kennesaw State's at. Like I said, they just beat Liberty last week. They've been hot. So I'll go with Kennesaw State in this one. And like I said, I'm not a huge Conference USA basketball watcher, so I'm not going to act like I have some great breakdown and reasoning why, but just based off their schedule and the teams they beat and how they've been playing lately, that'll be my pick for this one.
I know Kennesaw State actually they beat Rutgers earlier this season.
Did they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the champion's going to come from that Liberty-Kennesaw State matchup. I think they beat New Mexico State here in the quarterfinals. It's kind of a weird bracket here, the way it's set up.
All staggered. Yeah.
But MTSU they gave Tennessee a game, so they may be a sleeper. But yeah. I think it'll be Liberty or Kennesaw State. I'm going to go Kennesaw State as well, just for momentum's sake. Although Liberty is definitely the favorite.
So I actually, like Travis said, I actually also don't watch a ton. I don't study up on a ton of Conference USA nowadays. I was kind of raised on it, though, where Memphis played in the Conference USA all along for a while. Marshall, even when I was in school, we were in the Conference USA for a while, but it's a different conference with realignment and all that. A lot of these conferences are just straight up a lot weaker. But I actually picked Middle Tennessee State. They only lost recently to Liberty by 5 points, so that's one of my kind of upset picks, if you will. But I'm picking Middle Tennessee State to win the Conference USA. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to overcome. It is so sad. Conference USA used to be awesome. Then, unfortunately, it's just like a feeder for the American now. So anyone who dominates the CUSA just goes up to CUSA takes all the good teams from the Sun Belt and then they funnel them to the American. But yeah, this should be Liberty. Liberty's the best team. Zach Cleveland's a stud. He should be CUSA Player of the Year. Liberty's only thing, they are if Liberty gets A&M in the first round, I will bet every dime that I have made here on A&M because they cannot rebound for shit. So that's the only thing. If they run in a bigger team, that could be trouble. But yeah, this should be Liberty. The best team, most consistent team in the league. I would be somewhat surprised if it were not Liberty. Not that anything against Kennesaw State or Middle Tennessee State, but yeah, it should be Liberty. And they're the best team. They're probably the only team in the conference who you would feel decent about matching up with someone in the NCAA tournament. That would be a tough game for them. So yeah, we'll see, but I would have Liberty.
So we got 4 different picks here. I like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's USA lends itself to that. So
Yeah.
Jacob, who did you pick?
Kennesaw State.
Okay, so me
I
and you
guess
both
there's
picked
three,
Kennesaw.
but
Yeah, and then Christian went with
Middle Tennessee State.
MTSU.
Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Matt
So
went
it's
with
a little more diverse, this group. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll get a few more diverse picks as we go, but kind of anyone's ball game.
I guess the next one would be the MAC tournament.
Oh my God, this. It's another one. I got nothing. Akron.
Hey,
Yeah, I picked Akron as well.
I mean,
I got Akron.
I think Akron is the class of the league this year. Kent
Not
State,
even close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Kent State, Ohio, Toledo, Miami, those are all good teams. So they could if Akron has a off night, pull in there. But I think Akron has got this one.
Shout out to the
John
MAC
Grosh.
making them earn it though. They're not doing all the buys and shit. Like,
Yeah, you are playing the first round. But yeah, this should be Akron. Akron is so far above the rest of the league. Yeah, I mean, they have consistently, they're 17-1 in the league on the season, and then Nate Johnson is going to be the MAC Player of the Year. He is a stud. If you have not seen Nate Johnson from Akron, you need to see him immediately because he is the real deal. He's going to keep them in a lot of these games. Miami is the one team that they have not really struggled with Miami. They have struggled with Ball State and Kent State. So thankfully for them, Ball State is not in the field. So yeah, this should be Akron. And Akron again is another team that people are going to pretend you've watched several Akron games. They'll be a trendy pick for someone. So especially if they get put in Cleveland for their region, that would be a fun one for them. So yeah, this should be Akron. I cannot see another team touching Akron or covering against them until the finals. So that'll be, we'll see.
well, I guess if we're doing the MAC, next will be the MAC. So that I imagine that'll be next.
The MAAC. Yes, sir.
Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll start. I think it's going to be Quinnipiac. It comes out of this league. I think that them and Merrimack and Marist are the only teams. I mean, although there is usually one seed usually struggles in this league, there's always some random team that comes out of the league. But I think it's going to be Quinnipiac if I had to guess.
I agree. That's who I would have to guess as well. Not that I'm not going to claim to know all these rosters off the top of my head, but just looking at everything, I would agree as well.
Well, Merrimack just beat the shit out of Quinnipiac and Marist recently. I was looking on my phone to confirm that because this is another one I was researching a little bit earlier. Yeah, but with that being said, I'll go with Merrimack for mine.
Yeah, I am big on Merrimack. It is time. They have been left out of the NCAA tournament for no reason recently here. It is a very big contrasting of styles because Quinnipiac is a big-time run-and-gun team. Marist is a big-time run-and-gun team. Merrimack is not that. Merrimack is the best defensive team in the league. They are a grinded-out team. Adam Clark is the best player in the conference. He's going to win Conference Player of the Year. He's really, really small. It's 5'10", maybe 160, 170. So he's a really, really small guard. But yeah, they are fun to watch. Joe Gallo, one of the best coaches in the country for what he's done at Merrimack there. And I think they Merrimack's are going to go to the NCAA tournament.
So we got a 2-2 split here. We got me and Matt on Merrimack and Jacob and Christian on Quinnipiac.
Hmm.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to
Whoever wins that tournament will have a one-way ticket to Dayton.
Yep.
yeah.
The first four right there.
Very much so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This one I got nothing.
Let me pull up the standings.
I'll go with Norfolk State.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say I picked Norfolk State because Norfolk State as well. So
although
I know nothing about the MEAC. I have seen Norfolk State play one time, and
they had the dunk. Did y'all see that highlight from them?
And Norfolk State has a guy, Brian Moore, who I saw in the game. I don't know how good he is because I have not seen him play or have not studied the conference. But yeah, I would, when in doubt, just kind of pick the top seed in this league. I would be surprised if it was not Norfolk State. So not that I care. Yeah, where is Duke? We need our MEAC guy. Yeah, I need an update on Howard and Maryland Eastern Shore and Coppin State here. So
see, I know Maryland Eastern Shore is very bad this year. That's something I can contribute.
Well, they're all bad.
Norfolk State, they probably have the best coach in the conference. He has a record of 233 and 158. He's made NCAA twice before. I know Howard.
Sounds like Norfolk State is the pick here.
Yeah, but if y'all need some good highlights to look at, search up some of their Norfolk State dunks from this year. They definitely have some pretty electrifying plays.
Nice.
But,
I got nothing.
I got nothing else. I guess we'll go to the Mountain West next.
This is gonna be the best tournament of all of them.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I like.
Who do you
this
have?
Could go in any direction. I don't know who wants to go first. This is another one I literally have not decided who I think is going to win it.
I guess I'll go. Utah State wins the tournament.
I could definitely see that. I love that it's in Vegas, which just makes for an exciting environment. It's going to be.
Are they just sharing the court with the Big 12?
It'll probably be like.
It's not there. I think it's
dividers.
at Thomas and Mack, where UNLV play, but.
Okay. But I picked New Mexico in this one. I think the Lobos are going to get it done.
I am very high in this. Clearly, Mountain West is not doing the we are eliminating teams, otherwise Air Force would not be in it. Fortunately for them, 5-26 is not going to be good enough to win that league probably. But I'm big on San Diego State. I think New Mexico, as good as they are with Nelly Jr. Joseph.
Nelly Jr. Joseph.
Yes, one of my favorite names in the country. San Diego State. New Mexico does not have the pit. That has been kind of their X factor that they've had all season.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't have the pit. They're going to have to win on neutral court. San Diego State is built for this tournament, built to win in this tournament. I feel as if they're getting very disrespected on the seeding talk and whether they should be in the field or not. They're going to play a very, very desperate Boise State team. So I do think it will be the winner of the Boise and San Diego State game that wins the Mountain West. But I would go with San Diego State to win that tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I'm also going to go San Diego State here. I was thinking Boise, but San Diego State has really handled them both times they played this year. But Boise State wins over all the top teams in this league, besides San Diego State. So they're interesting. And it's being, like you said, that New Mexico doesn't really have the pit to lean on in this tournament. I kind of agree with what you're getting at with San Diego State. That's who I was leaning in this one too. But I mean, it is wide open. I could any of those top 5 teams in this league I could see winning this.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got a Utah State, two San Diego States, and a New Mexico.
Pretty spread out.
Yeah.
Mountain West is going to be all.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the better tournaments too.
Yeah, and we'll got some late night action too, since it's not tipping off till later in the night with West Coast time zones and all that. So
yeah,
it'll definitely be some cool matchups there.
And this is our last Mountain West tournament that we will be able to enjoy. And it's not going to be the same after this year. So
let's cherish it while we have it. Absolutely. Definitely cherish it while we have it.
Guess we'll go with the next one.
The Ivy League.
Ivy League.
Yeah. There we go.
Here we go.
The real crowd pleaser right there. I can start it off if y'all want to. I'm going Yale. I'm going Yale on this one.
Give me Dartmouth.
Dartmouth? Okay.
Yeah. Give me Dartmouth out of that bunch. Yeah.
I respect it.
Hey,
yeah.
The number one seed usually never wins the Ivy League tournament.
The Ivy League.
It'll be the 2 seed.
So I see what you're saying there, because usually the Ivy is relatively deep. There's usually 3 decent teams. It's usually Yale, Harvard, Princeton. However, Harvard is not very good. Princeton is not their usual selves this year. They've been up and down. They also have a win over Rutgers. Cornell is really fun to watch. Cornell is very back and forth. They play fun style basketball. But Yale is so much better than the rest of the conference. They are just the classic team that, they won a team and they won a game in the NCAA tournament last year, and basically just came back to Ivy League play and destroyed everyone.
They're a good team. They're a good team.
Yes,
they're tough to beat.
They are head and shoulders the best team in the Ivy League. I would be surprised if it was not them. That would be actually pretty disappointing for Yale if they did not win the Ivy League. So, this should be Yale relatively comfortably. So I think Princeton, that it's still the potential's there for them to, see a decent game there. But I'm here for Yale. They'll be a decently tough out for someone. So
I'm
Yale.
I'm also going with Yale. Yale is an incredible program. They are so tough to beat. It will be so an insanely hard matchup for whoever they play in the first round. They are just an incredible program up and down. They've gotten some historic wins, and they've shown in their past history that whoever they play in March, they will be such a tough out. So I'm going with the Bulldogs. What an incredible program. Not everybody can beat Yale. They're tough to beat. They are a wonderful program, and I will certainly be taking Yale, and they will be a brutally hard out. They should be favored over whoever they play in the first round, honestly. And I feel like they should be seeded higher than they are, because whatever 4 or 5 seed has the displeasure of playing Yale is going to be in for some absolute hell.
As they might have a player ejected.
How could I pick against the Bulldogs? Just they are an incredible program, and they will run through this Ivy League tournament. And this could be the year they go on a Final Four run. They should have last year. They were good enough to do it, and this is all Yale.
Yeah, so heavy Yale presence in this one.
Yeah.
I was about to say, was the sarcasm? Did I make that clear enough?
I think so.
I guess the next one, the
Here
big
we
one, SEC.
There we go.
Who wants to go first?
I think you should, actually.
Well, I'm going to be non-biased here. I'm going with Florida. I think Florida's playing better basketball than anybody in the country right now. I don't know. I think Auburn has a very good chance to drop that rematch to Tennessee in the semifinals,
Yeah, I think so as
assuming they
well.
get there, because Tennessee is going to really need that one for seeding, and we've seen Auburn be kind of wobbly here the last couple games. But no, I'm honestly like objectively going with Florida to win this. I think they're the best team in the country right now. They're playing the best basketball. I think it'll be Tennessee and Florida there in the final, and that'll be a good game. But yeah, the way Florida, the way they get they play on both ends, and the way they rebound, like they're gonna be tough to beat. I don't know it. I don't think Tennessee can match them on both sides. I mean, we've seen them. I mean, we've kind of seen when those two teams have played it go both ways this season. Like we saw Florida absolutely obliterate them, and then Tennessee got them back. But really, ever since that Tennessee loss, it was kind of a turning point for Florida. Other than that Georgia game where Georgia just came out with desperation. But yeah, no, I'm going with Florida here. Like I don't. Like obviously, I would love to see Auburn do it, and I hope Auburn gets the rematch against Alabama in the final. But yeah, I'm going with a Tennessee Florida title game, and Florida gets it done here, which might be beneficial to Auburn to kind of get off their feet. Like I hope they beat Arkansas or whoever. I'm trying to read this fucking thing; it's so tiny.
Yeah,
But
it looks the color scheme.
Okay, so we're gonna play the winner of who is that?
Tennessee.
Arkansas, Ole Miss, or South Carolina.
Yeah.
They can
Okay.
get the better of Arkansas again. But yeah. So I'm gonna go with Florida here.
I will also be going Florida. I think they have the most firepower. I think they'll be on a hot streak in this type of format.
See, honestly, I'm picking Auburn. I think they're the best team in the SEC. I think they're the best team in the country. Although it's going to be tricky navigating throughout this SEC tournament because I've actually heard people say that this might be harder to win the SEC than it is to win the Big Dance, just with how stacked every single team is in there. So, but one thing I am wanting to see is a Auburn-Bama rematch, like I mentioned earlier. If we could see that, I would definitely be, I'd be ecstatic to see that. But yeah, I think I'm going Auburn.
Yeah, I think it will be the winner of the Florida Bama game. I am curious if Bama has actually unlocked something that they kind of found on defense in that Auburn game. But yeah, I still think Florida's the best team right now in this tournament. I do think it'll be Florida over Tennessee in the final. I think that Tennessee, as said before, they are something more of a desperate team than Auburn is. I think that they feel, that game that they played at Auburn, Tennessee probably feels as if they should have won that game. And yeah, I could see Tennessee beating Auburn and then Florida beating Bama. And then really, who knows how that final matchup would go. But I do think that, this is Florida's tournament. They have been the best team for a couple weeks now, for some time. And yeah, I think they should, be the eye test favorite going in. Yeah, they can just beat you in so many ways. And I think the winner of them and Bama should be the winner of the SEC tournament. And in this case, I would put my money on Florida. So
I do think at their best, like Auburn is the best team in the country still, and like they played good against Alabama yesterday. And like I said, the Alabama game, it wasn't necessarily like a motivation issue for Auburn. I think they just got beat. And but now going into the SEC tournament, like obviously you need to take care of business Friday, and if they do that, like they should have the number one overall seed like sewn up. Like if they don't already, the win Friday would definitely do it. And that's what it comes down to is like it goes back to the motivation thing. And I really question like what Auburn team is like the motivated Auburn team we've seen most of the season going to show up, or is it going to be this team we've kind of seen sleepwalking ever since they locked up the SEC? And like that's why I'm going with Florida here, because I think if Auburn and Tennessee have that rematch on Saturday, I think Tennessee is going to be very motivated to avenge that loss at Auburn they took earlier this year, which like they played an amazing game and probably should have won it. Like I'll say outplayed Auburn in that game and gave up the late 3 to Miles Kelly, and now they're going to be very motivated to win this rematch in Nashville. And yeah, I don't know if that same motivation is going to be there for Auburn. Like maybe it is after the Bama game. Like maybe that's the spot that woke them up, and like it starts now. But like I could definitely see Auburn just going into hopefully Saturday, take care of business Friday in that Tennessee game, and sleepwalking through there. And Tennessee really needing that win against Auburn for A, to avenge the loss earlier this year, and then B, for seeding purposes, because they're still in that 1 seed hunt. And that's what it really comes down to, is I kind of think like Auburn, or not all, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida are all kind of like, I think it's going to be a mini tournament between those three, where whoever comes out on top between those three will be who gets the last 1 seed. So, like, I think all three of those teams just have more motivation than Auburn going into this tournament and are playing as such. So that's why, like, I'm not coming in here and just being like Auburn all the way. Like, I do think that the motivation thing is a serious question, and like it matters. And so yeah, I'm gonna go Florida there over Tennessee, and I think Florida will take care of Alabama. I mean, we just saw Florida clearly head and shoulders go into Tuscaloosa and be the better team last week, and so if they see Alabama again, like I'm gonna go with Florida there.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there should be like, this is the best tournament I think everyone can say, like in terms of quality of play.
For sure,
no doubt.
But, yeah, I am curious to see like if Oklahoma rattles off enough to get into the field. But other than that, yeah, just not really. I don't think this tournament should be full of surprises, to us at least. So
we got 3 Floridas and an Auburn.
Auburn, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Auburn wins it, obviously, but I think just like I said, I think the motivation thing is a real thing, where Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee are kind of in a shootout to get that last 1 seed right now, and like that's really going to matter. And Auburn just doesn't have that same level of motivation. So like I hope to hell they find it, because obviously I want to win this tournament. But like, yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean, like I said, that it could be that Alabama loss was like the wake up call, and they come into this SEC tournament firing on all cylinders and take care of business. And I hope that's what happens. But yeah, I'm going Florida here. And are we all in agreement that like am I off base with that, saying like those three, like whoever comes out, especially if one of them is to win the SEC tournament, will be the one that gets the last 1 seed? Or do you think, because I mean I thought Friday Florida kind of had that on lock, and then Alabama turned around and beat Auburn, and then now like one of these teams
should be
will
the
have
winner
a chance.
of Florida and Bama, yeah.
Or if Tennessee
happens, it should be that one. Yeah,
I mean,
if Tennessee wins the tournament.
The 3-4 seed, or the number 1 seeds, I figure at this point would be Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston.
I think that's what it is right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like. I think
I don't think it's going to change.
I think if Tennessee or Alabama can win this tournament, that would vault either of those two over Florida for that last 1 seed.
Yeah, that's the semantics of it all that could get really complicated here. And then like, if Arkansas were to beat Auburn, or if Tennessee were to beat Auburn, I still think the machine will probably want to thrust Duke into that number 1 overall slot.
With that, I don't know, or I'm trying to think of the map in my head, but would that give Duke Atlanta if they got the 1 overall seed, or
Probably, yeah.
would they still go to Newark? That'd be closer to Atlanta, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're in the
Okay.
South, so I would assume.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that is big because we do definitely want to have that Sweet 16 Elite 8 in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I think as long as Auburn wins one game on Friday here, I think Auburn should already have the 1 overall seed on lock. But I don't even think it's a fucking question if they win on Friday. I think that would be like the bow on it, and then that's why I wonder if they get that win that seals it up, then do they go in the weekend kind of with foot off the gas?
Yeah, we'll see. It should be fun though.
Yeah, it's going to be a great tournament.
I guess
like never been more hype around the SEC tournament. And then obviously you have teams like Arkansas and Oklahoma who want to. I mean, Arkansas should. I think Oklahoma's the only like real bubble team in this tournament. Like I think Arkansas
Texas needs multiple wins. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. I don't really consider Texas
back.
a bubble team at this point.
Yeah.
Like they would need a lot. I think Oklahoma's the only like real.
Yes.
Like I think Georgia's locked, Arkansas's locked, Vanderbilt's locked, and Texas is out. So I think Arkansas's or Oklahoma's the one that like
main bubble team,
really needs a great performance here to get into the tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely going to be a great tournament, though. One of the better conference tournaments that we've seen in a while. One of the
Nothing
most
on your
stacked
Hawks,
conference.
You know what? They should be in now. So the sweating it out drama should be done with. They played Auburn really tough. So that could be a game that they feel as if. And there are rumors that Boogie Fland is coming back.
Okay.
I don't think if I'm an Arkansas fan, I don't want that. Like,
I mean, you do and you don't. I mean, he was really good at the first half of the season, and they are a different team. First of all, like if you're an Arkansas fan, you definitely want him back because he is.
Do you? Their offense has just been better and more efficient since he's been out.
Yeah, I mean, but he's still like someone you can be like, okay, like if all else breaks down, we at least have this guy who can get us a bucket kind of thing. And when he gets downhill, it can be really dangerous. You always kind of want that type of player. But Arkansas they're certainly playing better basketball now. I don't think it's necessarily connected to him being out as much as them just getting better throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, there are rumors of that. I don't know if that'll be true. Knowing Cal, I don't think he's going to push him to come back. I think he's probably going to be like just he'll be a lottery pick, and yeah.
Well, I will ask this about Arkansas: if they lose to South Carolina in the first round, is that enough to drop them to Dayton, or do you think they're clear of that at this point?
I mean, maybe they're not. I don't know. I still think they're clear of it now. I would be surprised if they were in that territory for any reason here.
Oh yeah. Anybody got anything else on that one? That's the big one, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's the big one. And then the next one, we're going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum.
What is that? The Sun Belt? The Sun Belt next?
No. The SWAC.
The SWAC. There we go.
We're going from the SEC to the SWAC.
There we
back to back. I love it.
All the viewers have been waiting on this one.
Hey, I didn't realize this. Jackson State's coach is Mo Williams. There's some notable. There's some notable coaches in the SWAC.
Okay. I had no idea.
Bethune-Cookman's coach is Reggie or Tyus, or however his name is pronounced.
Yes, yeah.
Johnny Jones at Texas Southern, of course.
Yep. Wow.
I'm just gonna get mine out of the way real quick, and then let you guys break down the SWAC, because I'm going with my home, like live in the Montgomery, Alabama area, so I'm going with Alabama State to go dancing. for no other reason than they're right down the street from them. So,
I guess.
I'll pull for them in a situation like this. And it'd be fun to have an Auburn-Alabama State matchup in the first round.
Yeah,
Give me
So, fun question for everyone. Does everybody know what the SWAC stands for?
I only because I wrote it down here.
Southwest Athletic Conference.
Yeah.
So why the fuck are they playing in Atlanta?
Yeah, that's a
Good
good question. That is a very good question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
Yeah, I'm like, did I see that correctly?
It is Southwest, right? Right. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's southwest of Mexico. I think, right? Or
Where'd it go?
maybe
Yes.
some parts of
Very
Mexico. Maybe I don't know.
geographical here. So yeah, that's
Where'd it
an
go,
interesting
Jacob?
one.
We lost it.
There we go. We're back
There we
up.
go.
All right.
Yeah,
What
I think
What
it's
is
southwest
Game?
of-
That's the one by the airport. There's like an arena that's like right by the airport. I didn't even know they fucking played sports there.
Yeah, they're definitely.
That's where I park. That's where I park when I fly out of there. It's like right by the airport.
Yeah, they're southwest
Like,
of Orlando. So
I was
guess
today
that's where-
years old when I figured out that there's like actual athletic competition that takes place there.
Yeah,
Because
there you go.
there's like an elevator to get up to the SkyTrain, like there where you park, and it's like takes you right to the airport. And I remember last time I flew out of there, I like accidentally walked into the fucking arena, and they had like a cop. He's like, "Oh, are you looking for the elevator?" I was like, "Yeah, it's like on the other side." But yeah, just like I was looking, I was like, "What the fuck is that arena?" And then that just like clicked with me.
So there you go. You learn something new every day.
We lost it again.
But I'm actually going to Southern Jaguars. I feel like they've made some tournament appearances in the last handful of years, so I feel like they're a team kind of made for March, if you will.
They have a decent number of tournament appearances. Like,
Yeah.
For them and Texas Southern. Texas Southern's usually a big one in this conference, but give me Jackson State to win it all.
Okay.
For Mo Williams and
Mo Williams. Yeah.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I might have to switch my pick after you said something about Mo Williams because I wasn't aware. But that's cool. Might have to tune into this one.
I'm going to take Southern. I don't know anything about the SWAC. Respectfully, I know they have consistently done very well in Dayton when they're in the 16 plan in the first four. So, yep, going with Southern. They seem to be the best team in the SWAC. They won 20 games, so they seem to be, running that conference. So, yeah, I'm taking Southern there. Give me Southern.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I definitely see them doing some damage there. So.
Hey, man,
we got it back.
Jacob's struggling here.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. It just started glitching out for no reason. But I guess we'll move on to the WAC.
Oh, yeah.
I got no clue here.
Love
Grand Canyon
it.
is they are the best program in this conference. So
I
I will-
now. Wait 1 minute.
Time
here.
out.
Utah Valley is an excellent program. Mark Madsen left for a couple of years ago. He had built that program up to a really good place. And Utah Valley, Todd Phillips took over. They were not very good last year. They are the top seed in the conference this year. So I will not allow Utah Valley slander here. But, Grand Canyon is maybe the best team on paper. Grant Foster came back for some reason, which is cool, I guess. But, yeah, this is a collision course between Utah Valley and Grand Canyon. If one of these two teams did not win the conference, that would be a true shock. That would literally be stunning news. One of them did not win. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those two teams. Gun to my head, Grand Canyon has been the better team on paper. They have the best player between the two teams there. So, yeah, that's a tough one. But I would probably lean Grand Canyon ever so slightly, given how they won a game last year and virtually, almost beat Bama in the NCAA tournament in the second round.
Yeah, I feel like GCU is one of those teams that's a lot of times up there, and they have made a couple conference appearances recently. But I'm also not going to allow any Utah Valley slander either. They're 15-1 in the conference, 8 straight wins, so I'm going to have to go with them.
I'm not slandering Utah
Yeah,
Valley. I just think Grand Canyon has the best.
Obviously not.
I just think Grand Canyon has the of the programs in this conference, they can point at the most success, and that's
yeah.
Would it change your mind if you knew Juve was a huge fan of the Lopes?
Is he?
Yes, huge.
Interesting.
Well, obviously, Bryce Drew being Scott Drew's brother, that's one of the big reasons.
Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for Bryce Drew to get out of there and see where he ends up after Grand Canyon, because it's got to be coming soon.
Yeah.
Wow, Jacob is struggling here. Luckily, I think that should be our last one, because I was just doing the ones that start next week. I wasn't going to do the already in progress ones, but I can't say while he's struggling and we don't have the bracket, but like West Coast, you guys got St. Mary's or Gonzaga?
Give me St. Mary's. Give me St. Mary's.
I'd say Mary's also.
I'm a big believer in St. Mary's.
Never stray from Gonzaga.
This is the one.
I don't know if you all got my prediction or if I was lagged out, but I said Utah Valley for the
there we
whack.
go.
So am I on an island with Grand Canyon here?
Oh, I got the Lopes with you.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I think Matt did.
I thought you were taking Utah
I just wouldn't
Valley.
allow the slander. I wouldn't take. Yeah.
But yeah, I am gonna have to pick St. Mary's for West Coast Conference. I just think, while I don't like to pick against Gonzaga winning their conference, I just think this probably is the year that St. Mary's does win the conference and get that automatic.
St. Mary's
there.
is just a better team than them
this year.
This year, business against them twice. Like, this iteration of Gonzaga is definitely not. There's also rumors that Mark Few might be at the end of the road.
Oh, shoot.
That I've heard pop up a couple times.
Yeah.
He might be our next surprise retirement.
Yeah, we might have to keep our eyes on that. I just think, St. Mary's has swept them in the regular season matchups I've seen. So that's part of what I've seen. But I have to look more into the Mark Hughes thing, see what's going on with that.
Let's go.
Yeah, I've just heard it come up a couple times. I don't know how.
Do you think? Do you think Tommy Lloyd would go back to Gonzaga?
Yeah, 100%. That's
you think so?
Been the rumor.
Yeah.
You think he would leave Arizona and go back to Gonzaga?
Probably.
He was there for years and was there since the start of it and everything. And he was supposedly the guy who was going to take over for Few. And then he took the Arizona job. But I think he would probably want to go back there.
Well, anybody, we don't have any more brackets, but anybody else, any of the Jacob or SoCon, who's taking the crown there? I
think Furman's gonna roll tomorrow. Freaking, they have better shooting. It's Wofford is a joke. Kyler Filwich is good, but the rest of their team, they just kind of they just get lucky.
Yeah, I have Furman as well.
Yeah.
The Paladins,
Any other of the in-progress tournaments that we don't have the bracket for that anybody wants to make a pick for before we call it a night?
Well, Omaha just beat St. Thomas too. I don't know if that's a surprise for anyone or.
They're going to smash the biggest trash can you've ever seen in your life.
They sure are. Yeah, the Astros will be put to shame.
Did you see the guy fucking jump off the fucking the elbow drop onto the trash can last night?
What are we doing? That's a very bold move on his part there.
Yep.
Yeah, I am very curious if what was I gonna say about our friends at big time here into northern Colorado. They are that's popular pick here that I have. We are also currently sweating out San Francisco, Washington State here. So
Oh yeah, I
not
had my
looking
eyes on that
ideal.
We're
game.
not covering.
Not at the moment, no. Hopefully, we now so far here, San Francisco has dominated in transition and on the glass. So usually a sign for success here. So we'll see what happens. If not, I will be I'll be in that one with you. So yeah, but Gonzaga is going to crush whoever wins this game anyway. So not overly concerned with that. But I should have just told you NBA over. Should have just given you the Nuggets today or something.
Well, I had
Yes.
to, it's not even for betting. It's for like our college basketball competition thing. I had to make my 5th pick of the week. So
That makes sense. Yeah. So
well, I went 4-0 during the week last week, and then we do 5 during the week and then 5 on Saturday. I went 4-0 during the week and then 0-5 on Saturday.
yeah, I need way more from the Dons here. This is not good enough. ND Okafor. Literally, his name is the letter N and D at the free throw line for Wazoo here. So, yeah, clearly not keeping up with my West Coast Conference depth players for Washington State. But
I was watching the I can't even remember what fucking game I was watching last night. One of the conferences. God damn, who was I watching? I don't know. I don't remember which conference it was, but they had like their own like score bug and stuff, and it was like running through the scores from other conferences, and they still had Pac-12 listed, and they were like showing like Washington State, USC, UCLA, like all as Pac-12 still.
well, they
I
do
do
that
have-
for football. So
I do have one crazy game. Pepperdine upset Santa Clara in the West Coast
that
Conference
is shocking. Yeah,
tonight.
had such high hopes for Santa Clara.
San Francisco is now losing.
Yes, that's not ideal. And also, we had Jupe is very. He says he saw a huge game there with South Alabama getting taken down by Arkansas State. He's very excited. So
Yeah, I guess we'll see Arkansas State in the finals of that one. I do think probably they're going to end up winning the conference here.
yeah, Troy Arkansas State will be a good game.
Apparently, we should have just taken the over in this game instead.
Yeah, clearly. Goodness.
Oh shit! All right, you guys got anything else, or are you ready to call it a show?
I think
Yeah.
that's all. We covered pretty much
Yeah.
everything.
I think so. I really appreciate you all welcoming me in here. I definitely had
Absolutely.
a very good time.
Yeah.
You are
Yes, sir.
welcome anytime.
Yeah, I hope there's something between now and Selection Sunday. We can chop it up, talk some ball. Always love.
Selection Sunday show. If you
Yeah,
want to
y'all
join
want to?
us, you
I'd
have
be
an
happy
invite.
to. Yeah, hell yeah. I appreciate that, brother.
Absolutely.
I guess
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
be
get
talking
with
to
you
y'all
about that.
soon.
Yeah,
Sounds
we'll be
good.
on here Friday night and then back for Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, might as
All
well.
right. Thanks everybody for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that shit. Check us out. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back for one more game show, and then we have the big one, the best one, Selection Sunday,
Yes, sir.
1 week from now.
Like, subscribe, all that shit.